I've been treading water for some time, picking up the parts of all my life. Didn't get to solve it this time. How am I to break apart? Don't tell me why we can't collide. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Don't you feel it? Don't you feel it? On the break of dawn, I'll follow you to carry on. On the break of dawn, I'll follow you to carry on.
feet. Stand up, stand up. Come on, get loose with the heat. Right now, right now. We go party till we black out. So get the fuck up.
Esports Canada rassemble une communauté de joueurs sur les terres autochtones traditionnelles de l'île de la Tortue. Bien que nous rencontrions sur une plateforme virtuelle, nous respectons les terres, nos CD et traités sur lesquels nous nous trouvons et reconnaissons les torts et les erreurs du passé et du présent. Nous devons établir des alliances authentiques avec les communautés autochtones dans un esprit de réconciliation et de coopération.
Esport Canada brings together a community of gamers on the traditional Indigenous lands of Turtle Island. While we meet on a virtual platform, we respect the unceded and treated lands we are on and acknowledge the harms and mistakes of the past and present. We dedicate ourselves to authentic alliances with Indigenous communities in a spirit of reconciliation and cooperation.
Welcome, Rocket League fans, from Vancouver to Newfoundland.
JK plays it, puts it right into the post.
Can they get it? Winter scores off of the backhand of Rosa.
Right up the wall. A tip. He can go for a second touch. The demo. Got pulled.
A lot of space, going for the second touch, and he does. What a save from Gus! Oh my gosh, someone clip that.
What it do? Bonjour et bienvenue, and welcome into the Esports Canada EDU Scholastic National 2025. We've already gotten through the group stages, trimmed the field to 8 of our best U18 squads from across Canada, but only one can be crowned champion. I am your boy Q, and it wouldn't be as fun if I was doing it all alone. I got the homie Stressful Gengar with me. Gengar, how you feeling, homie?
Not bad, Q. How are you doing?
Oh, it's another day living the dream. We got some high action, high octane Rocket League to be getting into here in just a moment. We already got ourselves a great banger matchup here in our quarterfinal.
Yeah, definitely. Coming into the quarterfinal here, we've got McTavish Marauders against the CPET Canadians here. For those who aren't familiar with the Canadian Scholastic scene, the McTavish Marauders are coming in as the champs from last year's matchup here.
They're the champs, and but you know what? Over on the other side of the pitch, you do have the Canadians who have had quite a bit of success in their own right. I mean, the Manitoba runner-up as far as for the spring 24-25, runner-up for 23-24, fall season champions last year as well. So both teams know how to be able to put it up when it becomes really needed as far as when it comes to high octane action, being able to put up that best performance. So see on your screen here the bracket. We'll be able to view this kind of along the day as we do head towards that grand final. We'll be able to see one of our quarterfinal matches. We just mentioned the Marauders versus the Canadiens, but then we'll be sitting on both semifinal matchups as well as that grand final. So 4 matchups on the day. I can't wait to get down to it.
Oh, it's going to be a blast, man. Anytime we can get and cast Canadian Rocket League talent, it's a good day.
It's a great day. And not only that, I got to say, I always love getting into the Scholastic scene as well. As much as, I would have loved to have been able to have an esports sort of, Scholastic program like this back when I was in school. It's cool to be able to see not only that this is available for students, but also often seeing the support from the families, the parents, seeing them coming up, whether it's on land, seeing them pulling up and supporting their kids, or pulling up and chat on Twitch as well. So I'm going to be excited to kind of see everyone as they do kind of pull up throughout the course of the afternoon here. And, you mentioned earlier, we've got kind of people across from Canada. I know you and I were talking through in the green room a bit. I think it's going to be exciting to see who's able to bring their best talent forward. I know we're seeing quite a bit as far as I think you said Alberta and Manitoba, but who knows who walks away champion here?
Yeah, exactly. Just today alone, I think from what we were talking about, we've got talent from, like you said, in Alberta all the way out in the west, all the way out as far east as Quebec. So, and all of these teams have a bit of that championship pedigree to them within their respective provinces. But this is where they really get to put that all on the line, showcase that talent, and really prove who is the best of the best.
And I think it's going to be important here, especially for teams who get the opportunity to be on stream earlier on, to kind of shake the nerves a little bit, right? Be able to say, hey, we know that we're on the big screen. Let's go ahead and get in here and show that it's just as easy as if I was sitting back just playing a game that wasn't on stream. It's the same sort of thing. You get out on the field. These players, of course, have been warmed up. All of our teams have played through group stages, which is how they got locked into their seeding for that playoffs. But sometimes that lunch break causes team to sizzle down a little bit. So we'll have to see who's been able to retain the heat from this morning.
Yeah, exactly. That little bit of the break might be a cooling off stumble for a bunch of teams, but we'll have to see exactly who falls into that lunch break trap and who ends up keeping themselves locked in all the way.
I think the other big thing here, and keep in mind for people who are tuning in, maybe unfamiliar as far as the format, it is best of fives. So, not a best of three as far as when you talk about the super short series, so not as much weight on game number one, but it's not a long series of best of seven either. I feel like these best of fives kind of that perfect balance. Game one has a decent amount of weight, but if you are the team that comes out, maybe doesn't necessarily start the best, put yourselves in a little bit of a hole. If you feel like you can control the back half of the game, even if it's the last 2 minutes, 90 seconds, you walk away with an L. Sure, it's very easy to pivot your focus towards game two. As long as you can take that one, all of a sudden it does become that best of three, kind of that shootout sort of format. So, going to be excited to see as far as how these teams are feeling, how they're doing. Do you have any predictions here for me as far as this first matchup? Who you taking?
Oh, that's really difficult. Like as you ran down for the CPET Canadians, they've got that. Well, the last time they did pull off championship themselves within their division was in fall of 2023-24, but they still hit runner-up as recently as this spring. They hit runner-up last spring. So they're right there on the cusp, and while they've achieved that championship pedigree once, they're right there to push through. Now, saying that, they're up against McTavish, which, as we've seen before, is a quite dominant team. But my money is on the CPET Canadians pulling off that underdog pull.
It's definitely an interesting draw. You figure at some point, if you're going to be able to crown yourself champion, you would have had to have taken down the Marauders. You get the chance to do that here in the quarterfinal. You take them down here, you got to feel like the rest of the road at least gets somewhat easier. So it would be huge to see the upset. But let's go ahead and get ready to hop on in. It does look like they're ready to go. 6 players out on the pitch. I'm going to go ahead and make things interesting. Go ahead and give me the Marauders here. That way we got split on the desk. We've got 5 minutes on the clock here as far as game number 1. Let's get down and do what it do.
All right, so right off the hop here, the Marauders are pushing an attack quickly into the Canadians' end, working to keep pressure up. Oh, actually, the CPET Canadians pushing back with there. Marauders pushing back out. Oh, just missed the ball on the touch there. CPET's able to push it back into the Marauders' zone. Decent aerial to keep the ball up. Marauders intercept, pushing it. Pushed back in by the CPET Canadians. Marauders struggling a little bit here to clear the ball out of their zone. And the CPET Canadians doing a great job keeping up that forecheck to keep that pressure into McTavish's zone here. But, oh, great shot by Flofi onto the Marauders' net. Nice middling here. It's a decent battle back and forth here so far. There's not one side that's showcasing too dominant. I'm quite impressed with the Canadians' ability to put that pressure on McTavish early.
Yeah, both teams have definitely had opportunities, but only one shot thus far on either side. You'll wonder who's going to be able to find that first tally onto the mark. First minute gone by, you had mentioned nobody quite yet able to find the lace, and it has felt like at least over the course of the last 30, 45 seconds or so, the Canadians have done a little bit better job of being able to kind of control the pace. A little bit of friendly fire in that front or that back right-hand corner, though, does slow things down as far as them trying to gather the control. Limited on the resources as well. And the Marauders doing a great job as far as the boost control, keeping this Canadian squad pinned back, and it's going to be Nate rising up off of the pass from Mist, and the Marauders strike first.
Yeah, exactly. Just a little bit of a bobble there that we saw from the Canadians hitting each other back into the corner, going for the same boost. And that just opened up the field for the Marauders to push and just pin the Canadians in. And like you said, and we saw there with that great pass from Mist to Nate, just set it up perfectly for the Marauders to take a 1-0 lead.
This is one of those situations where it's going to be like smallest mistakes will be punished. Two teams that have the experience that the Marauders and the Canadians do have means that sometimes it's literally the difference of inches here. We'll be up to the Canadians to try and find some way, somehow, to get themselves what you would hope to be a relatively quick response. Miss, though, might be looking to add to the tally, trying to go the distance.
Carry. And the path back to Nate again, giving the Marauders that 2-0 lead.
What a big goal.
What a great goal. Almost a full solo effort there by Mist, but Nate coming in to pick up and carry that through to the end.
Big goal to be able to extend their lead here now to 2. They've doubled it down. Now it's going to be about holding the lines. The Canadians have to try and find some way somehow to start establishing some sort of offensive presence. We had mentioned earlier that it was one shot apiece. Well, the Canadians, they're still stuck on one shot. Meanwhile, the Marauders have been able to find 6 in the opening half of play, and they're looking to add to their tally even more here. It seems like their offense is locked in.
Yeah, no, they've definitely shook off the bit of nervous shakes there right off the hop, where the Canadians were putting the pressure on the Marauders early. And the Marauders have just come back and shown that championship pedigree. Get himself ready, but there the Canadians capitalize on a mistake from the Marauders, with Nate missing that aerial and just perfectly placed tip down onto the car of the Canadians to give them a 1-goal difference.
And that's a tough spot to be in if you're macro, right? Because you kind of want to push forward to try and see if you can win the 50, but you are the third back. You miss and it's an open field, and right there is exactly how things broke down. The good news for the Marauders is they did have the 2-goal lead, so it's been cut in half, but they do still have time to be able to, at minimum, hold the line. More important for them, if they are able to keep the possession down here on this orange half of the pitch, that's just simply playing keep away as well. They've alleviated the pressure. They've been able to put themselves in a position where they kind of get to dictate the pace here this final 100 seconds.
Yeah, no, for sure. And while the Marauders are trying to put the pressure back on the Canadians here, especially with trying to deplete that resource management through the Canadian side, and Macro comes in with a beautiful shot just over top the Canadians' defender there to give them the 3-1 lead. But yeah, that constant pressure from the Marauders is very difficult for anyone to overcome here. And the Canadians are going to have to figure out a way to break through that again rather than waiting to capitalize on a mistake.
Well, right now, when you look at the ball possession as well as the field control, both of those above 60% in favor of the Marauders. So not surprised to see them controlling the pace of the game, but there is still time. I mean, the Canadians have shown the ability to have some quick transitional plays to be able to flip the field. That's how they got their 1 goal. It feels like that might be what they need to rely on when it comes to finding success over the rest of the last 65 seconds here in game number 1 and beyond. But still, you figure 1 goal makes it a 1-goal difference. If you can do that before 30 seconds, you're still in a decent spot.
Yeah, exactly. As long as you can give yourself that little bit of time. Beautiful play off the wall there by Nate. Try and pot in a 4th. But yeah, as long as they're able to get that goal here before the 30-second mark, that's enough time for you to regroup as a team and make a push to tie up the game here. But the Marauders, once again, knowing that fact, they're just putting as much pressure as they possibly can on the Canadians here, not giving them really a chance, stealing as much boost as they can from their side of the field. And even when the ball like this dribbles back into the Marauder zone, the Canadians just still don't have control enough to capitalize.
And part of that is because of that boost control that you had mentioned. The Canadians having a hard time kind of exiting their side, let alone putting pressure when it gets deep into that Marauders territory. Meanwhile, the Marauders, they'll sometimes keep the pressure down here, and sometimes it's just being scrappy in front of the net. It's now 4-1.
Exactly, yeah, and that's where that lack of boost there, we saw it really affect the Canadians' play, where no one really had the ability to move the ball out decently. And so they ended up getting pinned in their zone, started colliding with each other, and just couldn't move or maneuver in that space, giving the Marauders basically free control over their zone and their net.
Well, we talked about if you go into game number 1, you don't necessarily start the best. If you can dictate the pace of the game in the back half on the back of an L, you can feel all right going into game number 2. Unfortunately for the Canadians, they weren't able to do quite that. The Marauders actually, for the course of the duration of the game, were able to control the pace, but I'd say even more so in that last 80 seconds or so. So it will be up to the Canadians here to use this 60 seconds between games to try and find what it's going to take to find some more offensive pressure. Because I'll tell you what, Gengar, 2 shots, that ain't going to cut it.
No, not at all. What the Canadians have to do here to be able to pick this up is figure out what they were doing in that first 30 seconds to a minute of that game, where whether it was just nerves or whether they were actually putting the pressure back on the Marauders. They need to get back to that level of gameplay, maintain those rotations, get control of that resource management via their boost, start to take away as much as they can from the Marauders, and just try to pin them into their own zone.
Let's go ahead and get back into it for game number 2. Huge here for the Canadians to try and find a way to spend. It's a big goal here for Macro as well. 3 seconds is all it takes.
Huge statement kickoff goal here. Macro coming up, following up that kickoff just to steal the ball while the Canadians just weren't prepped and ready to follow up that 50-50.
This is why you've always got to send at least one of your two to kind of trail behind. Both went for the big boost. Nobody in the middle of the field, nor let alone had enough gas in the tank to make a save. So early goal here for the Marauders to set the tone. The question becomes, how quickly can the Canadians find a response? Or do they allow a quick second goal? Miss was looking to try and strike relatively quickly on the counterattack. Now it's Nate firing a shot forward, will be denied.
Yeah, no, definitely the Marauders are putting the pressure on here early and fast. Once again, as we can see, they're just starting to grab as much boost as they can from the Canadian zone here. Deliberately following those boost paths and just trying to suck up as much of that resource as possible. Canadians pushing back a little bit here, but without that extra boost from their own zone, they're going to have to turn back and won't be able to keep up that offensive pressure.
We've been able to keep it up for just a moment, but yeah, as you mentioned, at some point, having to retreat back to the defensive side. Quick rotation here for Marauders up the field. Missed. Tries to push on in. Maplo will be able to at least send it towards the side wall and gets a second touch as well, but unfortunately will need the assistance of a teammate to break that 50-yard line. But the ball, unfortunately, gets too far away. Allows for the Marauders to get the possession one more time. Macro comes on in. Tink off of the post. Nate tries to follow it up. Unfortunately, won't be able to. Still more pressure for the Marauders, though.
Yeah, definitely. And Nate, they're a little frustrated demoing the Canadians, but yeah, no, that's once again showing that resource management. For anyone that's able to just keep watching here, you can see that just based on the amount of boost that the Marauders are able to maintain, and the lack of boost, just like that again, on the Canadians' end, the Marauders are just able to infinitely sustain that pressure with constantly rotating out somebody with full boost. And like we saw there with Flofi, 0 boost left in the net to defend. Can't really do much in that situation.
Well, we talked a little bit about the shots department in between games 1 and 2. The Canadians still looking for their first shot as we do approach exiting that second minute of play. Meanwhile, for the Marauders, they found 8 shots already. They have been an all-out blitzkrieg on the net. Mist doing a great job of being patient as well, showing, I think, the discipline we've also seen from this Marauder squad, which has allowed for them to keep so much pressure down in this orange half. Another move towards the middle of the field. Nate might be able to pop that up and over one, but does get bumped off. The Canadians need to find a clear.
Yeah, the Canadians are desperately trying to find any kind of boost they can to clear out the ball here. But once again, as we're seeing, and you said from the Marauders there, they are just relentlessly patient and just driving forward the offense here. Canadians again trying to clear out the ball, but Nate once again forcing it back into the Canadian zone, attempting to go for that shot off the hood and the pinch off the ground, but yeah, just unsuccessful there. And the Canadians are just not able to sustain that boost at any time. Just watching the two teams, at least one of the Canadians are just out of boost at all times, while the Marauders seem to just never run out.
Marauders always have the boost, which allow them to continue to assault the net, just like we see here. A simple drill from Macro, top Binsky's slotted. And it's a 3-goal lead one more again for the Marauders, which means Canadians are going to need to find some way, somehow, to step things up. They need 3 goals. They've only found a way to accrue 1 shot here. You've got to find a way to put the clamps down the defensive end. You can't give them free range up above your goal the way they are right now. They should be able to find it clear, but instead it's Nate. More pressure. 1 more shot attempt. Is that slotted? Oh, it's saved.
Wonderful save there. But yeah, no, it's that just the unrelenting pressure, and the fact that at the same time the Marauders just aren't letting any shots that the Canadians get off even get remotely close to their goal to even register it a shot at this point is just absolutely insane levels of pressure, both upfield and backfield as well.
You can definitely see why the Marauders are your defending champions. I mean, it's so much pressure in the offensive side, but not just that. We've seen multiple times where the Canadians get the possession, and then all of a sudden it's 3 players from the Marauders going the opposite way with it, and that's allowed for them to continue to build up this lead. 4 goals in 1 minute and 30 seconds is going to be a tough comeback here for the Canadians.
It definitely will be. With that, it's just going to be a very difficult play for the Canadians here. They seem to, whatever their rotation structure is here, and especially clearing out the ball out of their zone without any carry pressure to get it back down the field, they really don't have that offensive momentum to get entries into the Marauders zone that will allow them to counterattack effectively here. And the Marauders, in any capacity, are just driving it back. The Canadians here with a demo might give themselves an opportunity, challenge midair, but once again, the Marauders send it right back into the Canadian zone.
Canadians are just getting suffocated back into their defensive side. I mean, we're asking for them to try and find some way to build up any offensive pressure, find those shots, but it's hard to when you're stuck back in your defensive third. And then when you do find some way into the blue half, it's a very quick visit. All of a sudden, you're having to scream back to the defensive side. It's got to be so frustrating here to have a matchup like this in your quarterfinals. They just haven't been able to get any momentum.
Yeah, exactly. And oh, beautiful save by Maplo there. But yeah, no, it's just that relentless cyclic pressure of the Marauders. Like that beautiful pass off there from Macro to Mist. Just handing off the ball without any boost left to someone that has that full boost that can take the ball on the attack is making the full difference for the Marauders here and not giving the Canadians any room to maneuver.
There it is. I mean, game number 2, a dominant victory, 4-0. And you look at the shot counter, 15 as opposed to the 3. I mean, it kind of tells the tale. I mean, from there, what are you supposed to do when your net's getting shot at so much and you're caught back there, you know?
Yeah, exactly. When you're facing that much relentless pressure, especially one that is handled as well as McTavish is, maintaining that boost level, robbing as much resource as you can from the opponent's side of the field, you're really taking away almost every tool a team has to get back into that game. But even at that point in time, the Canadians need to either pick up on a full-on mistake from the Marauders to get that switch in momentum, or they're just going to have to outplay them.
It's going to be interesting to see as far as what the change has to. It's, I feel like so often it's easy for casters to go, hey, just, up the tempo a little bit. I always feel like the big thing I say is go for the demos, but I just don't feel like that's the answer here. You got to start playing predictive defense, not where the ball is. You got to figure out where they're going, because for the Marauders, they just seem to be able to keep the ball moving, which that becomes hard to stop because there's not one player you focus on, right? Any 3 of them can score at any point, and that just becomes so hard to defend.
Yeah, exactly. At that point, you're not just trying to shut down, like you said, a single offensive talent on the team.
Yeah.
When the whole team is just rolling and buzzing, it's very difficult. And the fact, like we've seen, they're taking away any tool or trying to take away every tool that the Canadians could use in their arsenal to counterattack. It puts them in a really tough spot, and McTavish is showing that championship pedigree.
They are definitely showing why they are the reigning defending champions. Now, maybe some good news for the Canadians. We are changing servers, right? We're going from the west to the central. Maybe they feel a little bit more comfortable there. Maybe that's where they feel where they can kind of unleash their, I guess, more aggressive sort of play. Because it has felt like at times they've been more passive. And understandably so, you're going up against the previous champions. And not only that, they've shown the ability to get up into the sky and be able to kind of be a relentless towards you net. It's hard to feel like you can press out of there, but it's now or never because we're already in the playoffs, you know?
Yeah, exactly. At this point in time, it's not the time to try and do figuring out your structure, figuring out who's picking up the ball when and where, what sort of rotation structure you're utilizing. It's where teams need to stick to the structure that's gotten them to this point, and even under such a relentless offense as McTavish's, the Canadians need to stick to their game, stick to what they know. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. Don't try to play the hero on your own. Play together as a cohesive team, because otherwise, you're not coming out of this.
I think right now the big thing for I think the Canadians, you take this little bit of time, and I don't know if you got to take a step up from the PCs or what while you get ready to hop into the new lobby, do a quick like walk around, but you got to have the best bad short-term memory. You put those last two games behind, and you get to roll from there. I think the important thing, however, is you've got to find some way to really, I think, hone in this first 60 to 90 seconds. The last thing that you want to happen if you're the Canadians is you look up with 2 minutes going by and the Marauders are already up 2-3 goals, kind of like we've seen in these previous ones. Then all of a sudden, here we go again, starts to creep into the back of the head. And it's hard to have the confidence to feel like you can press forward, right?
Yeah, exactly. And the Canadians have shown in that beginning of that game one that they do have the ability to shut down and stifle the Marauders' offense. And when they were doing that, they were the ones that were sticking to their structure. They weren't diverting, they were cycling properly. And if they can continue to play that and lock down that first 60 seconds of the game, like you said, that's going to be a major confidence boost in their direction. And at the same time, opens them up and gives them that confidence that, hey, we just shut them down for a minute where they were scoring us a minute at a time last time. And yeah, they just got to stick to their structure and push on.
Well, the good news otherwise for the Canadians is whether you lose by 1, you lose by 6, it's the same result as far as the series. And this isn't like other games where you have to start playing from behind in that following game, whether it be an economy sort of deal or playing from behind on the scoreboard. You start out at 0-0 when you hit the pitch. It looks like we got all 6 players ready to do just that. Let's go ahead and put 5 minutes onto the scoreboard, and let's go ahead and run it back one more time, see if the Marauders have what it takes to bust out the brooms.
Yeah, exactly. As the Marauders just get the ball back deep here, Macro carrying the ball in, the pass to missed into the top corner. And that's exactly what the Canadians didn't want to see in the first couple seconds here of that game. Letting the Marauders just come in over their defense, doubling up in the net, and the Marauders just picking their corners as if it's not even an issue for them.
First goal that quick. We were talking about how that was exactly what you didn't want. If you were the Canadiens, well, you do have the possession. Can you find a quick response down here? Doesn't look like it's going to be just quite yet. Mist will be able to find the clear. That third and being pushed up just a little bit. So that should allow for a little bit of space on the rotation of this field. Nate will field it. Looks for a back pass to teammate the Macro so they can keep that pressure forward for the Marauders, showing exactly why they're up 2-0 in the series.
Yeah, exactly. Ooh, unfortunate double pinch there by the Canadians, just handing the ball to the Marauders. It's not the thing you kind of want to do in a situation like this, but at least it seems they're getting the ball back downfield now and trying to put that pressure back on the Canadians. But what I'm noticing, or putting the pressure on the Marauders, what I'm noticing from the Canadians is they're doubling back up on the defense and net, leaving that solo player to go forward and play offense, which is going to be extremely difficult against that rotation of the Marauders.
I think it's easy, like initial thought processes of, oh, let me keep the extra defender back. But you mentioned hard to build up the pressure on the other side. But just as we're talking about it, Maplo says, you know what? Watch me do me. It's going to be that easy over everybody. And we're tied up 1-1.
Yeah, exactly. Beautiful solo play there by Maplo to go ahead and take the ball off the wall and just showcase all the skill that the Canadians have that we haven't gotten to see to this point. That is exactly what they need to do to keep putting that pressure back on the Marauders. Don't rush, take your time. It's a 1-1 game. We're basically back at 0-0 again. Tie game, they got 3 minutes and 30 seconds on the clock. They've showcased that they can pull it off here. They're not going to get shut out this game. But now they need to go ahead and prove it and put that pressure into the Marauders' end.
Definitely got to find a way to keep it down here. You'd love to see them kind of find some of that fight back in game number 3. Otherwise, they could be seeing a quick end to their playoff run. Right now, they've got to find a way out of their back half. Maplo's going to be able to at least find one touch, finds it past the midfield line. Second one, though, does lose the 50 to Nate. That leaves the ball right around the midfield line. Both players kind of sitting there waiting. Macro steps forward, slots it, and that's a goal, 2-1.
Yeah, exactly. Like you were mentioning there, that passive play sitting back in your zone, that communication lacking in terms of who's taking the ball, who's pushing forward. As we saw in that goal, resources wasn't an issue. Pressure wasn't the issue. It just ended up slipping into that passive mindset and sitting back into their own zone. And unfortunately, the Marauders are going to capitalize on that all day long, any day.
You do still have time if you are the Canadians when it comes to finding a response. Whole half still left to play. I think importantly is right now it is still just the 1-goal game. Everybody missed, but luckily Maplo's going to be able to find the save. Now it's going to be about trying to find a way out of your zone, not dribbling in from the middle of the field, not like this. Nice save comes across, misfires a rebound shot. That one's denied as well.
Beautiful save by Maplo there. Beautiful saves back-to-back by Maplo, trying to defend against the Marauders push there. But yeah, no, exactly. It's that passive play of that ball sitting back or the team sitting back. And once you get yourself into that position, it's extremely difficult to get yourself out of it rotation-wise, because somebody's always going to be trying to fill an empty hole somewhere in the rotation. And as we're seeing here, it just allows the Marauders to just dribble the ball, carry it wherever they want, and play as if it's an open practice field.
And we haven't talked about it so much in game number 3 here, but I know you talked about it a bit in games 1 and 2. We are seeing them do a phenomenal job as far as the resource control, which has allowed them to, one, keep this Canadian squad pinched back into not just their defensive half, but their defensive third, but also allows for them to continue to fly high and keep that high-octane pressure towards the net. It will be up to the Canadians, though, here in the final 100 seconds to find a 2-goal comeback. Finding one here turns it into a 1-goal game.
Yeah, beautiful goal finding there, just catching the Marauders in the exact position they keep catching the Canadians. Just boostless, bad rotations, losing their sense and their structure that's just gotten them to this point. But yeah, minute 38 left on the clock, face-off win. The Canadians do have a chance to get themselves back into this series.
They're not going to be able to do so back in the orange half of the pitch, however, and now this gets to the point of time in this game where, well, time does become of the essence. You don't have very much of it. You don't have very many opportunities left to try and find a way to bring things towards a tie, especially with the pressure that we have seen forward from this Marauders squad. I mean, we're seeing here from Nate, rotates back and goes, you know what? I'm going right back on the attack. Double tap, no, Maplo able to shut that one down. Macro looks for a follow-up shot, but that will sell wide.
Exactly, and the Canadians have an opportunity, or had an opportunity there to counter with a minute left on the clock. But unfortunately, the relentless pressure from the Marauders. And in this case, it's that same thing we were talking about, that the resource management. The Marauders, most of them had half, if not three-quarter full boost, while the Canadians, their goalies left the net had none, and their only player with boost was up the field waiting for that pass.
It's now a 2-goal deficit that you have to try and come back for. Nate says, make it 3 as I get the hat trick for me. The Marauders put themselves up into what feels like should be an unobtainable lead. That could very well spell curtains.
Yeah, that could be absolutely end of show there for the Canadians. But with 47 seconds left on the clock here, they really need to capitalize and be aggressive here in their attack for the remainder of this game, and not let the Marauders get a chance to come up and play fancy inside their zone with the pressure that we've seen so far.
Yeah, no more passive plays. You got to send all 3 players forward. You have to keep a full-on attack towards this net. You're now at that 10-second rule, and that's only if you're able to find this first goal relatively soon. Missed off of the sidewall. Looks to send it towards the net. Maple will be able to send it towards the opposite side of the field, but nobody else for the Canadians able to follow it up. Fancy with it. Almost fires a shot on in. Missed is high up in the sky. Launches that ball right back into the orange half, and it's all but a victory lap here in the end of game number 3. The Marauders able to bust out the brooms. The reigning defending champions move on to the semifinals.
Yeah, we did with another goal there in bonus time for the Marauders, just showcasing they're absolutely relentless. And like we said there, the Canadians, if they're going to dig themselves out of it, they had to go on an all 3-player attack. But what we saw there, they got pinched back into their own zone, and the Marauders, with that last extra time goal, was showcasing what needed to happen and sending every single one of your players forward to just press everything you have at that net. And that is why they win this round.
The Marauders will be facing off against LCI Samurai Gold in the next semifinal matchup. Meanwhile, on the other side of our bracket, CCS Cougars did take down the Golden Bears, waiting on the Bay Bridge Blazers versus Ghost matchup to figure out our top 4 here. But I feel like if that was any indication as far as what we're in for, as far as entertainment, despite the fact that it was a sweep, it was still some pretty darn good gameplay. And I feel like you got to make sure we're tipping the hat to the Canadians here as well. A tough matchup to have in the quarterfinals. They came out, they showed they had fight in them. Unfortunately for them, the Marauders are the reigning defending champions for a reason.
Yeah, exactly. And with the teams that we did see make it through already, there's one that I've kept my eye on, Q. I don't know if you've kept your eye on this, but like you said, the CCS Cougars there. Did you know they are triplets?
I did not. Oh, you know what? I did read that. I was going to
Yeah.
bring that up. That's pretty interesting.
Dude, absolutely insane. Grade 12 triplet boys that are playing together. And if there is a team that has a chance, this is just me, this is just my prediction. It's my prediction. If there is a team that has that chance or that innate ability to communicate well, keep that structure, keep those rotations in place, I'm going with the triplets, man. There's nothing better than like telepathically communicating with your teammates.
Well, I mean, in the RLCS level, for anybody who watches, probably knows about the Twins on the Falcons. It does always feel like maybe a little bit extra benefit with having, especially, they always play with each other definitely as much as they sure at times, I would imagine being triplets to probably get back, get at each other once in a while. They understand the situation and are able to still have that clear and cool, calm sort of communication. So we've got 3 of our 4 final 4s just about wrapped up here. Our next matchup that is going to be up is that one we were talking about, McTavish versus LCI Samurai Gold. I can't wait to get down to that one. We're still sitting at best of 5s for 2 more matchups, best of 7 for that grand finals as well. So you know what? How about this? Let's grab ourselves a quick drink, quick snack, and we'll be back on the other side with a little bit of semifinal action.
What I would say to somebody that hasn't heard about Extra Life is that it is one of the most fun ways to raise money.
Basically what it is, it's a fundraiser for the Children's Miracle Network hospitals. You sign up, you get a little donor page, and you ask your friends and family and teachers and coworkers for a tax-deductible donation while you play video games.
Even people that I know that don't play video games are enjoying it just because they're helping kids. And I mean, that's the reason enough, at least for me.
Totally do it, because it doesn't matter if you raise $1, that dollar itself can change somebody's life.
It's not just doing board games or playing card games, it's just playing, it's having fun, and that's the heart of Extra Life. And whether you stream it or you just say you're gonna do it with a group of friends or coworkers, it is absolutely the most fun you will have raising money and bringing awareness to a great cause.
My name is Sarah Orlina Stephenson, and I teach grade 5, 6 in PC Conan. I think esports can play good in math. They can keep track of score, tallying, make a graph. It gives the students time to get to know each other, and they have different skills that they'll be comparing and then brainstorming with ideas. I actually love Super Mario, so I enjoy it, and I think it's a great bonding, and it shows how each student thinks. Not everyone thinks alike, so it shows different ways, different views of getting stuff done.
Why I Extra Life? I Extra Life to make a difference. Through Extra Life, we're able to bring in thousands upon thousands of dollars for our hospital foundation. When we raise money for the kids, like our champion kid Nico, we're able to make a difference in their lives by being able to have a facility where they're able to get the treatment they need in our own province.
You sign up online, you pick the hospital you're going to support, raise money for family, friends, neighbors, coworkers, etc., and then play games.
You can go to extra-life.org for all the information you need to sign up and start doing Extra Life yourself.
It's just fun to do it. You can build such a community with friends, like some of my lifelong friends I've met through Extra Life United and stuff like that. Whether you do a big production or a small little game night at your house, there's so many options and so many ways to do it that it's accessible to everyone.
It's a great community. Everyone's in it for the same reason. They're all playing in support of kids' health or playing games for kids that may not be able to.
Doesn't matter if you fundraise $10, $100, or $1,000. Every dollar really does help.
You don't have to be the most hardcore of gamers to get involved. If playing games is something you enjoy doing and it's something that you're already doing, Extra Life is the way to take it, embrace that fun, and do something more than what you could do yourself. Be proactive, jump at it through Facebook, through extra-life.org. Reach out to your local hospital, they'll know more. Hop onto the Extra Life Discord, find local gamers. If your hospital doesn't have a guild, get out there, form one, and just keep going.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land. Our home to snow-covered mountains, sprawling farmlands, and iconic animals. Our land is vast, breathtaking, and cherished. Whether on the land, in the skies, or in the stars, we've made quite a name for ourselves. We pride ourselves on our kindness, our music, and we all remember where we were when Crosby scored. We embrace culture, diversity, and our Indigenous heritage. We are unapologetically Canadian. We are Canada.
NC welcomes you to our first Esports Expo in 2023. Today we gather here to celebrate esports to the immense potential.
Ever wonder what would happen if you brought video games into school? Welcome to the Manitoba School Esport Association, where students embark on a journey to level up in game and in life. Esports is about more than just a game. It's about teamwork, strategy, and drive. As students engage in fierce competition, they're also honing their ability to collaborate, adapt, and think critically. Behind every team is you, the teacher, the coach. This is where pedagogy meets passion, converging to instill values of sportsmanship, perseverance, and determination while fostering an environment of belonging. Then there's the thrill of competition. From practices and scrims to leagues and hitting the stage at provincial finals, it's those heart-pounding moments, roaring crowds, and the sense of pride that comes from reaching new heights. MSEA provides an integrative approach to esports that balances holistic student wellness and academic excellence with gaming and competition. We foster passion, commitment, and community to develop our gamers into the leaders of tomorrow. MSEA, where students level up in life, one game at a time.
And Lotus 8 will take game number 1.
A ver, venga, Cristian. Reset. Un segundo. Ay, qué pena.
This ball's dropping down. Bang! Wellis was looking for the bump, but can't. Oh! Hold on. Wait a minute.
Looking for the double.
Oh my.
Bang! No, yes! What?
Oh my goodness, that nearly stayed out. What?
I thought they saved that. Over to Eris. 1v1.
Has to be a goal. What a save. Wow.
What a save. What a save, man.
We're off to overtime in game 5, ladies and gentlemen.
My eyes are glued to the Lotus 8 game.
Come on, Ren. Come on, Ren. Come on, Ren. Oh, I thought that was it.
No. J-Naps! He's not done. He says not yet.
Hold on, Xander wins this. Wellis, come on, Wellis. Oh, can't find the bump.
J-Naps!
He plays another series.
Done in game 5.
All right, and we are back. Do apologize about that. Had to let the rest of that ad play on out. Missed a goal. The Marauders came out hot right up off of the kickoff. Like we mentioned earlier, they're staying on the pitch. They're going up against Samurai Gold here from LCI, and well, they are not seeming to slow down the pace that we saw from them in that first round.
Yeah, exactly. No, the Marauders, like you said, beating us back to the pitch and beating us, getting that first goal there, and that's exactly what we were seeing from them up against the Canadians last round. Was just that relentless early game push, just pushing and pushing to get that first point on the board.
Now it's
And
all
they've done
about
it again.
It's all about settling in here. It does seem like Samurai Gold starting to kind of calm the nerves here. This is actually their third shot opportunity. They actually technically lead the Marauders in that department. Of course, the Marauders did get that first goal. It's going to be them who have to retreat back. Nice back pass to set up the Mist, who goes high in the sky. Can you keep the control? No, it's actually a pass down to Macro. I like the play. Doesn't quite necessarily find you a goal, but it kept them up some pressure, even if it was temporary.
Yeah, exactly. Kept up that pressure, but we're seeing here in this game from the Samurai a modicum a little bit. I don't want to overhype it against McTavish, but we are seeing is more of a pushback than we saw in that last game.
Agreed.
Where the Samurai are keeping up those rotations, and like that carry in there from Cheetah, they carried that ball all the way into the opponent's zone. They didn't just dump and chase. They didn't just send it in. They actually went to carry the entire thing and keep that pressure on their side. And that's exactly what we weren't seeing the Marauders have to face against last round.
I mean, you figure as far as thus far, it's almost been 50-50 here as far as time of possession. Maybe a little bit more field control, you can say, for the Marauders, but as far as ball possession, pretty well right on the money 50-50. It will be Nate who tries to send it deep into that Samurai Gold territory. Allows for them to push up the field, try and see if they can get their crack at adding to their tally. It's a pass to Macro, pop time. This guy's a dangerous position. Missed. And that's going to be Nate coming in with a double tap opportunity. Can't quite find its mark, but oh, I thought that was going in. What a save.
Yeah, no, absolutely amazing save there by the Samurai. But yeah, no, it's absolutely, we're seeing a bit of a different game here. It's not the absolute blowout, relentless pressure and offense we were seeing from the Marauders. The Samurai are doing something here to keep the Marauders off their gameplay. Oh God! Almost carried it all the way through and just clipped it off the inside of the top corner. The Samurai here are pushing, and with 1:46 left, if they can keep that up, they've got a decent chance of tying this game.
I would argue that this is the type of performance I was talking about earlier, where it's like if you lose, but you still feel decent. Excuse me, had to do quick hot mutes for a sneeze. That's my bad. But if you feel like decent in the back half of the game, which I feel like the Samurai Gold should, even if you don't necessarily find a goal here in this final 80 seconds, you're not panicked going into game number 2, because the back half of this game, you've been able to push back, like you've been saying, against the Marauder squad.
Yeah, exactly. And it's they're able to keep it a close game. So even if they're not potting in shots, oh, beautiful save there. Beautiful shot by Atov. Second, third follow-up, and Atov manages to pot it in. Exactly like we were talking about. If they keep up that pressure, even if they don't get that goal, but they ended up getting that goal here. And they're putting pressure on the Marauders that they haven't had to face yet. The Marauders are going to have to face a little bit of adversity here.
And that's like that perfect example of it doesn't always necessarily need to be clean, right? You just keep peppering the net, and at some point the opportunity will present itself where a defender can't exactly get where the ball's going. And we had seen just that. It was a slight tip from that first defender, but they weren't able to get there enough to completely block it. Now it's going to be up to Mist to try and find a way out of the Marauder half of the field, but Cheetah steps forward with a 50, sends it towards the net. Luckily, though, as far as for the Marauders, Macro's there to send it aside. That's one thing the Marauders defense continues to do very well with. It sends most of the pressure down on the defensive half of the field to that outside wall. Then in transition, you try and go towards the middle, get a little bit of assistance, top bar down ski from you, Mist, and the Marauders up 2-1.
Yeah, beautiful shot by Mist there, and an unfortunate tip by Cheetah, almost clearing it out, but the ball just catches the inside of that top bar and bounces its way into the goal. With 21 seconds here, the Samurai really need to put pressure on the net, as they did there, to try and get a goal. But at this point in time, if you're the Samurai, you can't be thinking at the end of this game that, oh God, we're in a panic situation. They showed that they can play with the Marauders, and these games are literally going to be up to just lucky bounces and who can get that ball in.
And if you really think about it, it's not so much about what was a really nice shot for goal number 2 that decided this. It was that very early on goal that I know our viewers didn't get to see, but it was right up off of the kickoff. And sometimes those kickoff goals are just about an unfortunate series of events. And that's just kind of how things played out. Otherwise, you went toe-to-toe with them. You got 4 more games potentially if you're the one to walk away with the Dubs key and continue moving on. So I don't think they're worried about it.
Yeah, exactly. The play that we saw there was an entirely different beast than what we saw in that first game.
Yeah.
Where the Samurai are showing that they do deserve to be here at this point in the tournament. They're not hanging back. They're not letting the fact that they're going against the grand reigning champions shake them. They're sticking to their game. They're playing their structure. And even at certain points there, we were starting to see the Samurai starting to take that boost from the Marauders, and the Marauders have to conserve to fight back.
Well, we've been able to see them both kind of get stabs at it. It definitely felt like the Samurai were close to cracking the code in game number 1. Let's go ahead and reset the scores. Put 5 minutes back on the clock. Start off on that even field. and see if Samurai can figure it out here in game number 2.
Yeah, and the Samurai here starting off early, getting the ball deep into the Marauder zone, and with the demo to keep that pressure up, Atov demoing and Mirga clearing it straight back in. The Marauders are having to battle tough here to get a shot out of their zone, and Nate gets that shot on net. Mirga combining with Cheetah for a shot straight down the field, and changing the script from last game. The Samurai are the ones to strike first.
Well, swing and a miss by Mist. And a tough position to be in as well. You're already screaming back. You have to try and find the perfect angle if you're going to get a touch on that ball. And unfortunately, that right there wasn't quite it. Now, of course, the Marauders were the team that were able to find more success in the offensive side in game number 1, so probably not worried about an early goal here, but if Samurai Gold are able to find a quick second, then all of a sudden the story changes a little bit. Cheetah's up in the sky trying to find a way to bounce that thing more towards the middle of the field. Will be unsuccessful in that regard, but it's still pressure forward here for Samurai Gold. Another opportunity denied in the corner, and now it's Mist looking for the clear.
Yeah, looks back clear. Bit of an unfortunate double up on the ball there by the Samurai to put themselves in a difficult position. But they've rallied back to defend their net well. And once again, they're coming in. A two-pronged attack. Cheetah with the shot off the top. Just missing the net. This is an absolutely amazing game back and forth. With both teams seem quite evenly matched here.
Champs are getting pressed, but you know what? Macro gonna be able to find the shot pretty well from just outside of the top of the key as well. Just slots that thing right over the hood of Mirga. I do believe that was who was first up there. And well, all of a sudden we're tied up. Samurai Gold, as much as they felt like they had control, now all of a sudden uneven playing field.
Yeah, exactly. And the Samurai, there's a bit of an unfortunate bounce there, but that's what you have to contend with sometimes. Having that ball bounce off just right above the goal, and instead of dropping down where you're expecting it, getting an extra tap from that McCavish player up on the wall, and just bouncing it gently open right in front of the net, where the only person sitting there was Macro waiting for the ball.
Kablamo does open things up here, trying to find a way out of their zone. Here is Samurai Gold. Cheetah denied by the 50. Knocks that ball all the way to the opposite side of the field. Macro rises up, but uses up all of their gas just for the control. Nate will fire a shot down towards the other end of the field, but nowhere near where it's threatening towards the net. Both teams just kind of taking big swings right now. I would like to see either of these squads try and set up a little bit more offensive presence, get some ball movement going, and see if you can create those openings. Otherwise, it could be one overcommit like we see here, an opportunity that does not quite avail here for the Marauders.
Yeah, exactly. One thing I'm noticing that I'm really liking about the Samurai's game here that seems to be putting the Marauders a bit on a backstep is their aggressiveness and the committing to an offensive attack. So whenever the Marauders demoed one of the Samurai's players there, instead of sitting back and going defensive and turtling, the Samurai went out full on the attack. They pressured with two players, leaving no one back on defense into the Marauder zone. And that pressure is most likely going to be the difference here. If they're able to keep that up and push the Marauders back, that might be exactly what they need here to be able to crack the Marauders' rock-solid defense.
Yeah, I think the big thing, though, is you want to make sure you don't overextend as well, and that's a fine line to walk, and they're definitely going to have to try and find a way to balance it if they are going to take down the reigning defending champions. Open field here for Nate, pops it up, missed, fakes. Adov's going to be able to find the save and does have some field if they can get the possession. It's a pass into the middle of the field for Cheetah. Shot going to be wide. Second opportunity also wide as well. Follow-up gets denied by Mist. Oh, and the post hit as well.
Double shot off the post, and another shot by Cheetah. Saved by Mist in the net. Absolutely insane sequence. And a tip off the bar for the Marauders as well. These teams are just going all in on the offense for each other, trading those blows back and forth. But that was an amazing salvo of shot by the Samurai.
You got to be careful not to overextend here if you're the Marauders. I get it. You've been on the doorstep. You've been knocking on the door for that second goal. They will be able to retreat back and find possession. It's Macro in the corner. Tough tries to find a way to pick the pocket. Second touch will at least cause one player to swing and miss. Nate tries to find an awkward touch. It's over the defender. Is that in? No, it's off of the post. Shot also. Is this net regulation size or what?
Absolutely insane. Constant shot after shot after shot off the post, back and forth down the field. At this point, Q, I don't know if I want this game to end.
It's been so good. Oh, here we go. Cheetah has a chance, does get denied as well. Both teams now getting cracks at it. Here's Murga up in the sky, centers it for a teammate. Cheetah tops it up. Look at the bump. It's up in the sky, that top of the post as well.
Perfect time. Great control by the Samurai there to hold back a little bit, maintain that boost, and be a little tricky with the play. It's a beautiful tip and solo play by Mirga to tip it up, beat Macro, beat to take game 2 in this best of 5, and like that, Q, we're all tied up.
What a banger of a game number 2. My heart wasn't going to be able to handle very many more opportunities on either side of the pitch. And the good news is with that win there, well, now we're guaranteed at least 4 games. And there's one thing that we do know about game number 3 here. One of these two teams will be able to put themselves on series point. The momentum definitely feels like it's on the side of Samurai Gold, but the Marauders, again, are your reigning defending champions. Let's see if they can lock in.
Yeah, exactly. And the Marauders, they're trying to get numbers advantage early with a demo right off the face-off. Got them down there for a shot, and Nate able to capitalize, picking that ball off of the Samurai's pocket and putting it right into the net with an unfortunate bounce off the wall, missing Cheetah.
You know, I was about to comment about the miscommunication and the double commit from the Marauders, but then Samurai Gold triple commits on the save and nobody can find it, which just allows for the Marauders to have an easy opportunity. A good early goal, though, so the good news for Samurai Gold is, well, there's time to be able to respond. Of course, there's the important thing is the next goal for the Marauders, if they are the ones who find it, is that 2-goal lead, which hasn't seemed to be, at least thus far in the series, what is hard to break. Right now, Samurai Gold has all sorts of pressure down here on the blue half, but they haven't really been able to find any shots as of yet.
Yeah, exactly. The Samurai keep that pressure up, but the Marauders are doing a great job at keeping the ball to the outside, not letting it get too close to the net. Like you said, even though they're down 1-0, the Samurai were in this position already. An early goal last game. The Samurai have been here before. They know what they have to do to dig themselves out of it. And right now, if they can get the ball cleared out of their zone here without a further double commit, they've put themselves in a decent spot to come back again.
They're definitely showing the poise and the ability to. Can they? Is the next question. The double tap doesn't find its mark. Cheetah! Oh, that's also already off the post. It's the MVP. The most valuable post still coming into play here again.
Yeah, exactly. Picking it up off the post there. The posts in the series so far have been the absolute MVPs, like you said, on both sides of the pitch. Just absorbing that extra layer of defense. And Mirga with a beautiful carry down the pitch. Unfortunately, no one there to reinforce that attack, leaving Nate free to carry the ball straight down and pick up that elusive 2-0 lead that is yet to show in the series.
I like this play by Nate, too. You wait. At some point, a top's got to try and find a way to close the gap. At that point, you go towards the opposite post, and, well, it's just that simple.
Yeah, no, it was great patience by Nate there. And Macro almost picking up an amazing play off the kickoff right there, but Atov able to carry it back in. The Samurai pushing on the attack, a pass across the field and just off the far post from Mirga. The Samurai are putting decent pressure on here, and they know they have to, being down 2-0. With about half the game still here to go, they've got time to recover, but they need to get back into the Marauders zone and pot one here early.
You would really like to get that first goal before you enter into the final 90 seconds of play, especially because there is a good chance the Marauders could very well add even an additional one to their tally as well. Macro finds the save and now going to be able to find the clear, which just is going to, for the Marauders, burn more time each and every time they're able to send the ball into this orange half. Even if it's 5, 7, 9 seconds, all of that continues to dwindle away the clock, especially when Nate able to find a way to add a third.
Yeah, Nate there picking up the hat trick for himself here in this game. It's once again, it's just that pressure that we saw from the Marauders, and we've seen it a couple times now. They have this ability to lock in, and their rotations are executed with perfection. They're following the boost lines, they're taking the resources, and Nate picking up a fourth right there, not even letting me finish. Just absolutely keeping the pressure on.
A quick one off of the kickoff, a misplay from Cheetah, not even able to get the touch. That follow-up player behind that ball just sneaks right on behind their tail side, and, well, everybody just simply can sit there and watch it from there. Crosses the goal line, it's 4-0. At this point, if you're Samurai Gold, you just have to worry about finding some semblance of offensive success. 4-goal comeback here, I don't know if you necessarily want to set your sights on that, but you do want to be able to at least make sure that you have some sort of a game plan heading into game number 4.
Yeah, exactly. Well, at this point in time, digging themselves out of a 4-goal deficit isn't impossible. It's quite unlikely. But for the Samurai, what they need to be focusing on here is not allowing themselves to get shut out. Give themselves that bit of confidence going into that next game, because they are going to have to battle back hard, and we know the Marauders aren't an easy team to battle against. So they're going to have to give it almost everything they've got with absolutely pixel-perfect plays to be able to get themselves into the next one. And Nate driving the dagger even deeper, just pushing them back with a 5th goal.
And there we see, even though, yeah, Samurai Gold all had decent amount of resources, more importantly, the Marauders have been keeping those tanks full. It allows them to continue to rise up off of those rebounds, especially in a situation there where Samurai Gold is sending no one up in the sky. It gives them a free opportunity, and they've been able to capitalize on quite a few of them. It's now a 5-goal lead as we're getting ready to enter into our final minute of play. You had mentioned how the Samurai Gold, they need to find something. You gotta find a way to break this little streak that you're going on, not just as far as to be able to give you something to build off of. It's extra confidence to the Marauders if they finish with a shutout here.
Yeah, exactly. Pitching that shutout here is just going to reinforce what the Marauders already know coming into this tournament. They're the champs. They're the ones that everyone else has to battle through to knock out in any capacity. The Samurai have to get something together here and get it on the board to show that there's some chink in that armor. And even if it's not just for their own confidence, even if it's even to put some doubt into the Marauders' mind going into that next game.
Oh, final 15 seconds. Doesn't look like the Marauders have yet to be able to find a way to add a 6th. If they can find a clear here for Samurai Gold, that should at least be able to deny that opportunity, especially if you can keep it pinned down here. Does that just drop on in? It just drops on in. That's that goal we were looking for here for Samurai Gold.
Exactly. Coming with only 4 seconds left on the clock, that's exactly what Samurai needed to do, was to get that 1 goal, put that chink in that armor. You're not digging yourself out of that 5-goal deficit in this game, but start on the board. Give yourself the momentum, and these last 4 seconds, they just have to defend and make sure the Marauders don't pick up an additional goal, as we've seen them do multiple times so far. And they pull it off.
There it is. 5-1 in game number 3. Just what it looked like Samurai Gold were ready to go toe-to-toe with the reigning defending champions. Well, the Marauders prove exactly who they are. Really dominant game in game number 3. I think the big thing especially is being able to double your opponent's output when you talk about shots is always a good indicator that you're on the right road to winning. You talk 11-5 in that last game, kind of tells you why the score was the way it was.
Yeah, exactly. The Marauders have shown multiple times, whether they're facing adversity or not, that whenever they hit that point and they hit that down streak in any capacity, losing the 2-1 in overtime just prior to this game and letting that series get tied up, they came back with a vengeance. and absolutely showed, like you said, exactly why they are the reigning champs and why they need to be respected as a team overall.
Well, it looks like Samurai Gold not too worried about using that full minute the teams are allotted between games. They say, you know what, let's go ahead and ready it on up and let's head out to the pitch here for game number 4. It's now or never if you want to continue your run into the upper bracket. Of course, it is going to have to be back-to-back wins over your reigning defending champions Marauders here. So let's go ahead, reset the scores. Zeros on either side. Let's see if Samurai Gold can send us to game 5.
And with the kickoff there, the Marauders being able to carry it in the Samurai zone with a great pressure at the line to keep the ball into the Samurai zone and put that pressure on early. Myth going with that shot, trying to carry it in. Macro off the post, and a follow-up from Nate just going wide. The Marauders are trying to pick up that first 30-second goal as they've done multiple times so far. The Samurai managing to keep the ball out of their net here. And that's great defense and a good sign that we're going to need, or they're going to need here, to be able to battle back and score and pick up this match.
Well, they got themselves one opportunity, but that was it. That's Marauders defense doing what they do best, and that's limiting the amount of time that you get towards their net. Mist finds the slightest of touches to send it towards Macro. It's a pass over towards Nate. It's just more pressure forward. Corner sidewall pass looking for Mist. Macro fires a shot on target. Cheetah's going to be able to find the save. They have an opportunity to flip the pressure here. Mirga unfortunately won't have too much gas in the tank. It's a pass off the Cheetah. Everybody miss. Nate's going to be able to find the save, but as for now, Samurai Gold looking to try and maintain possession.
Yeah, great pass by Mirga over the wall to Cheetah, but a bit of a misplay there, and Mist is able to pick it up and carry it back into their zone. Ooh, dangerous play into the middle of the pitch, and great recovery by Mirga to defend the net. Samurai needs to get the ball out of their zone here and keep that pressure back on. They were doing decent keeping the pressure on the Marauders, but this back and forth play here, it's definitely a lot more even than the score from the last game showed.
I like that last thought process and that last possession from Samurai Gold. They were trying to see the back post from Mirga. We're hoping that Mist was going to overextend moving towards the middle of the play or middle of the field. Instead, Perfect Patience found the save. Now it's going to be another opportunity here. Bang from Mirga from distance. What a shot. Samurai Gold take the lead with 3:03 left to play.
Yeah, beautiful play here from Mirga, taking the ball up and carrying it all the way into the net. They played it perfectly, timing up. They faked the flick there and made the Marauders defender drop off the back wall above the goal down into the net and use that opportunity to just tip it up and over top of the defender.
Now they're looking to see if they can add to their tally. A second goal would definitely feel good here before halftime. Fired across. Macro finds the save. Cheetah looking for a pass off the middle. No one's there. It's off. Unfortunately, can't rise up in time. Mirga could keep it in. No, loses the 50. So you had a crack at it. Now you got to make sure your defense can lock it down.
Yeah, and Atov, they're going heavy on the offense with the demo. Nearly carries it in solo, but loses that 50. And the Marauders carry it back into the zone. Mirga up to defend with the ball, pushing it into the corner. Great play, but the Marauders are pushing heavy here now. Mirga having to play defense up above the net. Mist here intercepting the ball as Samurai try to counterattack. Mist plays the ball and just doesn't have the ability to carry it. The Marauders drive it back into the Samurai zone. Mist defending it middle. Good defend to push it back on the Samurai. The Samurai are pushing there, but they do need to get it out of their zone and get another crack here and maintain their 1-goal lead. But the Marauders are pushing hard here with 2 minutes left to go in the match.
Unfortunate mistake here on the back wall. Nate sends it forward. You thought maybe Cheetah could get the read. Unfortunately doesn't. Atop's there to try and make a play, but with no gas in the tank, it's hard to make the adjustment, and it would have to be pixel perfect even if it were the case. Now, just like that, we'll be tied up here at 1. Macro trying to move back into the offensive side here for the Marauders. Going to be able to pick up the big pad, which will limit the resources for Samurai Gold. It's a big clear here, though, for Cheetah. Sends it the opposite way. Might be a chance for Samurai Gold to get that gold back.
Yeah, decent chance for them to get that lead back there. The Marauders, once again, keeping that pressure off. Great tip off the wall from Mirga. Ball picked up there and passed just over the head of Atov to cross back into the Samurai zone. Good pickup by Atov there on the middle line. putting the ball up for a pass to Mirga, and just missed that 50-50 with miss, and the ball just drops straight down. The Marauders pushing hard here with a minute left to go. Both teams are pushing to try and get that 1-goal lead here. This is going to be difficult for the other team with the level of defense being played. Oh, what a save by Nate! Picking up that shot from Cheetah at the last second in the net. And Atov unable to capitalize, but another shot by Mirga coming in. Beautiful offensive play by the Samurai as they pick up that 2-1 lead with 49 seconds to go.
Oh, pressure! Samurai Gold doing a great job just continuing to send players towards the net. At some point, you're going to be able to find the opening you're looking for. It's off the kickoff as well. Back-to-back goal puts Samurai Gold up by 2.
Yeah, and the Samurai here able to capitalize off of a bit of miscommunication, a bit of an uncharacteristic fumble by the Marauders, not following up with that second player and giving the Samurai a chance to get that ball in. 45 seconds left to go. We know the Marauders are no quitters, but if they're going to be able to try and battle back in this game in any capacity, they're going to need to move quick, and the Samurai don't seem keen on letting that happen.
No, they most definitely don't, but the Marauders might have a chance with numbers here. I thought if they could gather a quick play off of the corner. Instead, the delay does allow for the Samurai Gold last 2 back to rotate in and make a play towards the ball. Now it's going to be Macro looking to enter right back on in. Met by Mirga. Up in the sky. Picks the pocket. Can you follow it up with a pass to the middle? No. Denied. Missed. Swings for the fences. That one's wide. Second shot high. Nate, can you put that one on target? Cheetah finds the save. The defense for Samurai Gold steps up in a big way, and it's going to end 3-1.
Oh. Almost a bit of a fumble there from the Samurai, and they're saved by the clock. Almost letting the Marauders get that goal in, but the Marauders unable to get that satisfaction of getting that goal, letting the Samurai carry the momentum here into a pivotal Game 5 that the winner takes all.
Well, if there's one thing that we have seen thus far in this series, is it is whatever team walks away with more shots walks away with the win. And I know that sounds like really simple because that does happen often, but that's not always the case in a series. So I think if you're Samurai Gold, you just try and up the pace the way that you did in game number 4. It felt like they kind of cranked the knob up to 11 one last time here in game 5. Let's see if they can do it. 5 minutes on the clock. We got one of these two teams locking in a spot for the grand finals.
Yeah, exactly, and this is an absolute riveting series so far. Finally getting to see a team in the Samurai Gold be able to put that pressure onto the Marauders that we hadn't seen yet today and get them off of their rock-solid game. Samurai getting the ball deep into their zone, the Marauders countering back. Mirga with a beautiful save to protect their net and drop the ball into the corner. Atov going for the carry, doubling up with Cheetah, and the Marauders push the ball back in. Tap and drop right in front of the net. Mirga, beautiful save, missed with a shot right off the crossbar, and that leaves the Marauders' net open to a counterattack. But luckily, Nate is able to get back and defend that just at the last second.
Now, I was wondering if Cheetah was going to be able to find the bump to open up that last little bit of field that would have been needed for the Samurai Gold squad to get that first goal. It ends up not being the case. Matter of fact, we've been able to make it through a full minute of play here in game number 5, and neither team able to find the back of the net. Maybe an opportunity here from Miss looking for Macro. There it is. The Marauders strike first.
Yeah, beautiful play there, and a bit of a loss losing Macro there on the backfield. Mirga going to save the ball, not having anyone else to follow up, and just letting Macro sit there on the back corner is just a little bit too much given the Marauders, and the Marauders are able to capitalize, take that 1-goal lead.
This is going to look to potentially center up another one. Nate comes screaming in, but Cheetah finds the save. You need to find a clear here. You got to set things up. Missteps on in, fires a shot forward, which will register high. Second opportunity denied by Mirga, who sends it towards the sidewall. It's off the rebound here for Nate. That had the angle, but Atov able to find the save. Still looking for a clear here is Samurai Gold. You get there with one. The demo keeps the possession down here, at least for now. Unfortunately, no one pressed up here against Miss. Cheetah does a good job with the 50. Can you find a pass to the middle? It's a bouncer. A slow one towards the middle, but nobody's home.
No one's home there, and now the Marauders are pushing back in, lose the dribble on that ball in the 50-50. And the Samurai here really need to capitalize and push back hard against the Marauders. Otherwise, the Marauders seem to just be content with just dribbling the ball and lazily carrying it through the Samurai zone. Nice shot on net there. Great save and push up by Cheetah. But once again, the Marauders push the ball right back in, having missed on that back corner. And Macro on the other side of the field as the Samurai attempt to clear, pushing it back in. Macro driving the net. Great 50 there by Cheetah. Ball is up and a great clear up by Atov. The Samurai need to grab that ball and capitalize on this play now.
Oh, I was going to say, if they have open field, if Atov would have been able to field that cleanly, had the opportunity, but enough of a reset has happened. The Marauders have gotten their boost. They flipped the field. It's Nate on a mission in transition with the pass from Mist. It's a 2-0 lead for the Marauders.
Yeah, just unfortunate losing that 50 there for Mirga. Unable to hold off the Marauders' attack with a 2-player up. But now being down 2-0, the Samurai are probably going to have to gamble for gold here, literally, and try to go all-out attack to try and pick up something with 2 minutes left on the clock.
Macro finds a way to pick the pocket. Not quite going to find the mark there. You mentioned time being of the essence. We're about to enter into our final 2 minutes here. You would like to at least find one of these goals, it feels like, within the next 30 seconds. You cannot really afford too many more empty trips. Cheetah on the prowl, able to find the demo. Is that the space that they needed? Maybe after the missed touch there's in the middle of the field. Cheetah looks to fire the shot. That's going to be high. Mist looks for the clear, but Mirga already up in the sky. One touch to field it. Left off for Atov. Oh, I think actually got blocked by their teammate there.
Oh, unfortunate double touch, a bounce back and forth between Atov and Mirga, both going up for the ball. Probably set that shot off just off target past the net. That's not exactly what the Samurai wanted to pick up there, and unfortunately are pushed back into their zone by the Marauders.
Unfortunate series of events, and now time. Really a process that you have to fight against. It's 72 seconds. You got to find some way somehow to first start with the clear, because the Marauders have been doing a great job maintaining the possession down here deep inside this Samurai gold territory. Mirga's trying to make a play. Has a beautiful pass, but Atov, I don't think, was quite expecting it. Cheetah will at least attempt to make a play towards the net. That one's going to sail a little bit too far and too wide, and now we're down to 45 seconds left.
4 seconds left. Cheetah with a shot into the Marauders zone, but Nate off the backboard. A bit of a missed dribble there. Can the Samurai capitalize? Beautiful save by Myth there to block the goal. Carry the ball back into the zone. The Samurai really need to capitalize on anything they can get at this point in time. Mirga losing that 50 with Nate. Nate clearing it wide. Cheetah missing that aerial. Atov shooting it back into the net. 21 seconds to go. Nate with the carry back down. But Mirga coming in and challenging that ball and pushing it back in. Cheetah with full boost. Can they do something here? And oh, the Marauders carry it back in. Wide open shot on net. And Nate puts home what is most likely the dagger here to end this best-of-5 series with 6 seconds left on the clock.
One for the road, I do suppose, here for the Marauders, as they're going to end with the tally of 3, unless they are able to find one more off of the kickoff. We do have, it looks like, our first grand finalist secured, as McTavish able to continue moving forward in this bracket. A little bit more of a challenge than our last series we had seen, but when they get tested and when it matters the most, they're able to hang a big old goose egg on the other side of the scoreboard.
Yeah, exactly. The Marauders here were pushed to an absolute limit. Game 5, the last game that they had to secure that spot in the grand final. But literally what we saw from the Marauders was that championship pedigree. The Samurai battled, absolutely gave the Marauders everything they could. But in that last game, we saw it where the Marauders just locked back in the same way we saw after they lost game 2 in overtime and just put up an absolute clinic, shutting out the Samurai's ability to even get a goal.
I think Samurai Gold there just kind of experienced what A lot of teams who have faced McTavish in the past have experienced, hey, you might find a way to take 1 or 2, but it is so hard to find a way to take 3 out of 5 against this McTavish roster. They're just a team that their discipline, their consistency makes them so tough to beat the longer of a series it is.
Yeah, exactly. And just yeah, no, there's not much I can say, Q. There's not a lot we can say about that level of play from the McTavish team. It's just they seem to have that ability, even if they're down bad, they can bounce back, lock it in, push back. And even at that point in time, if they drop their play a little bit in the quality, they're just going to pick it up again. They have an ability to bounce back from a bad game.
Well, we know they're in the grand finals. We have to still figure out who they're going to be squaring off against in that best of 7. Up on the other side of this break, we've got the Cougars versus the Ghost in a best of 5 action to see who that will be. Make sure you don't go anywhere too far. We'll be back with some more semifinals action right after this.
What I would say to somebody that hasn't heard about Extra Life is that it is one of the most fun ways to raise money.
Basically what it is, it's a fundraiser for the Children's Miracle Network hospitals. You sign up, you get a little donor page, and you ask your friends and family and teachers and coworkers for a tax-deductible donation while you play video games.
Even people that I know that don't play video games are enjoying it just because they're helping kids. And I mean, that's the reason enough, at least for me.
Totally do it, because it doesn't matter if you raise $1, that dollar itself can change somebody's life.
It's not just doing board games or playing card games, it's just playing, it's having fun, and that's the heart of Extra Life. And whether you stream it or you just say you're gonna do it with a group of friends or coworkers, it is absolutely the most fun you will have raising money and bringing awareness to a great cause.
My name is Sarah Orlina Stephenson, and I teach grade 5, 6 in PC Conan. I think esports can play a good in math. They can keep track of score, tallying, make a graph. It gives the students time to get to know each other, and they have different skills that they'll be comparing and then brainstorming with ideas. I actually love Super Mario, so I enjoy it, and I think it's a great bonding, and it shows how each student thinks. Not everyone thinks alike, so it shows different ways, different views of getting stuff done.
Why Extra Life? Extra Life to make a difference. Through Extra Life, we're able to bring in thousands upon thousands of dollars for our hospital foundation. When we raise money for the kids, like our champion kid Nico, we're able to make a difference in their lives by being able to have a facility where they're able to get the treatment they need in our own province.
You sign up online, you pick the hospital you're going to support, raise money for family, friends, neighbors, coworkers, etc., and then play games.
You can go to extra-life.org for all the information you need to sign up and start doing Extra Life yourself.
It's just fun to do it. You can build such a community with friends, like some of my lifelong friends I've met through Scholastic and stuff like that. Whether you do a big production or a small little game night at your house, there's so many options and so many ways to do it that it's accessible to everyone.
It's a great community. Everyone's in it for the same reason. They're all playing in support of kids' health or playing games for kids that may not be able to.
Doesn't matter if you fundraise $10, $100, or $1,000. Every dollar really does help.
You don't have to be the most hardcore of gamers to get involved. If playing games is something you enjoy doing and it's something that you're already doing, Extra Life is the way to take it, embrace that fun, and do something more than what you could do yourself. Be proactive, jump at it through Facebook, through extra-life.org. Reach out to your local hospital, they'll know more. Hop onto the Extra Life Discord, find local gamers. If your hospital doesn't have a guild, get out there, form one, and just keep going.
And we're back. We promised not to be away for too long. One semifinals series down and one more to go. It's going to be the Cougars versus the Ghosts, and two pretty dominant squads it does look like as far as from their backgrounds here, Gengar.
Yeah, no, I'm as much as I was hyping up the triplets earlier, man, going through the background for this Ghost team, I am hyped for this next match. This Ghost team coming in is the reigning undefeated champions from last year's Quebec High School Rocket League Championship. And they're still not that original team from last year with only one member left in there, a second team member that joined them earlier in the season that was running back squad for the team last year. And they're joined by an all-new player who has helped keep them to an undefeated record to this point, if not to the end of the season. Absolutely insane.
That's an insane stat line. I think that you've got that sort of backflow in your talent. It almost kind of reminds me of the St. Clair College squad with their different their A, B, C squads. It doesn't matter who it is that shows up. It always seems like they're able to produce. They're always able to backfill with their subs as well, and that's going to be quite impressive. It's going to be. It feels like two very very talented squads. Can the triplets take down that sort of success is going to be the real question. That next man up sort of mentality, though, is hard to come by.
Yeah, it's extremely hard to come by, and it's extremely hard to overcome, where you're able to just continually sub in players into that structure, into that play, and not really lose a beat or lose a step. The Cougars are going to need everything they've got and rely on that twin intuition and telepathic communication there to ensure they remain perfect rotation-wise in play, and give the Ghosts all that they can handle.
It does look like we've got all of our players finishing loading into the lobby here, so it shouldn't be long before we get off to the pitch for game number 1. I know I had mentioned best of 7, best of 5s earlier, so do want to clear up since we are still here in the semifinals. We are still sitting in that best of 5. We'll head to that best of 7 next when we get to the grand finals, where one of these two teams will be squaring off against the Marauders from McTavish here. Now, early predictions. We have a quick moment here, Gengar. Who you taking, Cougars or Ghosts?
I'm going to stick with my original prediction. I'm going to ride that triplet magic, and we're going Cougars.
Going with the Cougars here. I think it's hard for me to bet against the success that we have seen for the Ghosts. So, you know what? Let's go ahead and split the desk, I do suppose. We can go one way or the other, see who's able to pull things off, see players starting to actually hit to the pitch now. So let's go ahead and do it up here. Second semifinal action, game number 1. Let's get down to it.
Let's get down to it with the kickoff. The Cougars there getting the ball early into their opponent's zone. Great push back there by the Ghosts to stop that wide open shot that the Cougars had early. Beautiful pass up and a clear into the zone by Nathan RL. I think I'm just going to go out on a limb here, Q. I think we're dealing with Ethan, Jonathan, and Nathan here for the Cougars. Rise carrying it back into the Cougar zone. Ethan tipping it up. Hanox missing the ball there, and Nathan pushing it back down the pitch past to Jonathan. Oh, just a great interception there by the Ghost to stop that shot. Early on, I'm quite impressed by the passes here from this Cougars team and their ability to pivot on the fly. Ooh, bad commit there by Jonathan for the Cougars. Ball tipped up, left wide open, and the Ghosts are unable to capitalize with Rise in the middle of the pitch.
They still have the possession, though, here. Do the Ghosts looking to try and see if they can find their first shot. Meanwhile, the opening minute of play, the Cougars have been able to find 2 towards the net, neither of which have been able to find the lace. But I think the big thing is you at least start the progress. You start putting those numbers in your advantage. Interesting hesitation. Knox going to be able to find the bump, but it won't knock them off of this actual possession. Nathan flick over one, but Annex going to be able to find the save. Second touch will also act as a clearing pass to Rise, who's in the sky. Jonathan finds a save on the opposite side of the pitch.
Yeah, beautiful pickup by Jonathan there, immediately to go into the counterattack into the Ghost zone. Rise there, missing the ball and having to carry up the wall. Great clear back out. Jonathan there to receive it. Tap off the wall and pass back to themselves. to shoot the ball back into the opponent's, or try to get a clear back into their zone, into the opponent's zone there. But the Ghost keeping that pressure up here. Cougars fully on the attack now. Jonathan, the tip off and a pass back, but Rise picking up that ball before the Cougars can. A tip dropping to the front of the net, miss on the defense. Ethan with a great clear before Sedfan's able to pick it up and put the ball home. Hannix receiving the ball there, but Nathan keeping the pressure up. Ball dropped in front, cleared up from Rise to Hannix on the wall. Tip up, Hannix carrying it in, centered, and Ethan's able to clear that back out into the Ghost zone. A tip off the top of the wall. Jonathan trying to counter in that 50, Rise carrying it in. Jonathan with another clear, and Hannix with the shots. As the ball is just staying in and around the middle of the pitch at this point in time as teams are battling back and forth with 2 minutes 15 on the clock.
Yeah, we've been sitting at this 5-shot counter in the game so far for a while here. That tug of war around the midfield line, neither team really able to seize the control. I have been really liking what I've been seeing from this Cougars defense, however. There was a play earlier where they sent 2 players forward for a high-low on a ball that was coming in that was just perfectly placed. There was no way you were getting past them. It allowed for them to flip the field, but 2 minutes left in game number 1 here. Still looking for our first goal. Hannix is going to fire a shot. Nowhere near enough juice on that to make it threatening. It's Sedfan looking for just enough of a touch to settle it in front of the net. Able to do that, but Rise has to fall back as Jonathan is going to look to try and pick this thing up on the sidewall. 1 touch, at least to send it into the Ghost territory, but this Ghost team doing a great job of making sure that any visit into this orange half has been relatively quick, and if they do get the ball moving, I feel like maybe that's where the Cougars can start to open up this defense.
Yeah, no, exactly. And that was great poise there showed by Rise, where Rise did have an opportunity to pinch that ball in the attack towards the zone against all 3 of the Cougars defenders, but smartly held back and played that defensive play rather than overcommitting into the zone. These teams are just battling back and forth here. Sedfan going up to intercept the ball, but Ethan clearing it back out. Hannix missed over the top. Ethan with a touch, unable to center that ball. Rise carrying it back out, trying to pinch off the ground. Ethan with a tip up, trying to go for a double touch. Misses that second touch. Sedfan going for the clear. 38 seconds on the clock. Jonathan tipped up. Ball centered. Is anyone there? Rise is there to clear out before the Cougars can capitalize with 30 seconds left on the clock.
30 seconds left. The Cougars do have the possession. The Ghosts need to try and find a clear. Nice job by Rise on the sidewall, doing a lot with a little. No gas in the tank. At least able to get past 1 defender, but still looking for a way for a clear because this Cougars defense has been absolutely suffocating around the midfield line. Rise will eventually get 1 touch. It's a pass in the middle of the field that Nathan will be able to send aside. Jonathan fires 1 more ball into the orange half for regulation time. Hannix maybe going coast to coast with it, not going to be able to keep the handle. Ball goes down, and it's off to overtime we go.
Yeah, second overtime we've seen so far in the games that we're going and showcasing. Cougars with initial strike here. Little bit of an overplay by Ethan trying to dribble that ball up. Hannix with the counter. Puts it back into the corner. Unfortunately doesn't clear. And Jonathan with a shot on net. Great defense by Sedfan to keep that ball out of the net. The Cougars just cycling here to keep that pressure up. No boost. Nathan up with a pass to Jonathan and just tipping that pass wide and up and over the net. Nathan pushing the ball back into the Ghost zone, but Hannix getting that clear out. Cougars are clearing it back up. Great tip play by Rise to force that back in. Hannix with another tip. Sedfan left back on the burner here, ready to take a shot. The Cougars are going to clear that right back up to center and up over into orange zone.
Only for a moment, though. This Ghost squad enters right back into Cougars territory. Ethan's going to be over 1, but Hannix is already pressing forward. We'll send it towards the net, albeit just a tad bit wide, where 1 player is able to field. I do believe that was Jonathan, who tried to find a way out of the half. That's a dangerous spot. Rise able to win there, punches it in. It's 1:12 of extra time needed. Ghosts take game number 1.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate bounce there from trying to tip the ball out with that aerial. That just drops the ball right in front of the net. An extremely, extremely dangerous place to drop the ball. And yeah, the yeah, the Ghosts are able to capitalize on that one mistake.
Despite the fact that they were outshot 9-5, it is them who walks away with a game number 1 win. And sometimes those wins are the biggest because you've shown a way to be able to hold the line on the opposite side. I think I said 9 shots. It's 8 shots from the Cougars that they put on target. You had 7 saves, so they were being efficient with their shots. You just said not today. You also found the way to find the lace on the opposite side of the field as well. Ghosts got to be feeling good after game number 1.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's a great play on both sides of the field, but the Ghosts there able to play solid defense against the Cougars, relentless cycling offense there. And yeah, like you said, all they did was they played their defensive game. It was a back and forth either way, but in playing that defensive game, they waited for that one mistake, and that one mistake is all they needed to capitalize.
Give us just a moment to get our players back in here. I do believe our teams had gotten used to the lobby switch from the group play, which was every other game. Here in best of 5 action, it's 2 on West, then 2 on East. So give them wait, what happened in the lobby? Did I back out of lobby? You know what? I think
looks like we're being a little bit Rocket League right now.
Yeah, what's weird is I think I literally just got kicked out to the same thing. Let me open up that lobby here one more again for them on the West Coast. That way we can wait until game number 3 to switch things on over. But lobby's going to be back up for our players. Do give us just a moment here. We do apologize about the wait. It does look like we've already got the Cougars back on in here. And I wanted to ask you, as far as for the Cougars, a team that it felt like it oftentimes were really able to control the pace of the game. Are you worried after an overtime loss like that, or you just head back out of the pitch and go, we just didn't get the rolls last game?
To be honest, if I'm the Cougars, after that overtime, I'm going to shake it off. It was one unlucky bounce. Bounces go that way, whether it's hockey, whether it's Rocket League. We all know this. Sometimes those little bounces are all you get. It's a game of luck. You're going to go back out there as the Cougars, confident. You held the other team out. You got the most shots on net. You just got to have the luck go for your way this time.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes a close loss like that can almost be like the perfect trap because you then do start overthinking things. What can we have changed? Instead, it's well, we just go out and do the same thing. We probably win, 6 out of 10 times. Instead, you make the slightest of changes, and then there's a struggle. But as I had mentioned, wasn't going to be too long. We got all 6 players back out here on the pitch. It's time for game number 2. Let's get down and do what it do.
Yeah, the Ghosts with an early shot on net there, and great save by the Cougars to capitalize. Rise with a little bit of an overcommit. Ethan picking up that demo, opening up some space, but the Cougars are still pinned in their own end by the Ghosts, even with that demo. And once again, what we were seeing towards the end of last game was more of that boost control that we were seeing by the Marauders from this Ghost team, where at certain points that the Cougars just had no boost to go off of because the Ghosts were just siphoning it all up and not leaving anything left for the triplets.
And I think it's one of those things where if you are a team that's used to, being able to hit the sky and fly high, all of a sudden you get limited with the amount of gas that's in your tank. You're grounded. Now all of a sudden you're almost panicked in a sense because the other team, since they do have the gas, they're going to be up in the sky trying to make those plays. We're a minute into game number 2. Neither team has been able to find the lace just quite yet. But of course, we think back to that last game. Well, we needed extra time just for a team to be able to pick up a goal. It's only been 1 shot so far. It's been a defensive sort of series thus far.
Yeah, exactly. It's very much a defensive series that we're seeing. Back and forth, not just on the scoreboard, but just in the overall play as well. Where we're seeing, I've seen it multiple times from the Ghosts, where they're, instead of being all-out brazen attack, they're showing a bit of composure to instead of take that opportunity and that natural urge that you have when you're playing Rocket League to just ball chase, go after the ball, drive as hard as you can, offense. And they've shown that control to just hang back a bit, play a bit more defense. While you could capitalize on a push, let's reset for a better opportunity down the field.
Oh, Hannick's going to be able to find a save here, but that doesn't get that ball very far away from the net. That second touch almost acts as a centering sort of pass. It will be Hannick, so we'll be able to send it aside. Can he keep the dribble? Two players went for that same boost. I don't know if it's a little bit of a lack of communications or maybe they're starting to feel the pressure a little bit, because we do know this Cougars squad is kind of used to just being able to, I don't want to say dominate the pace of games, but they are a team that we know has had quite a bit of success and a team that has quite a bit of synergy. If you asked me, I don't know if I would have guessed they were triplets thus far in this series. They seem to be out of sorts at times.
Yeah, the Ghosts seem to be putting enough pressure on to the Cougars that is basically breaking their gameplay and their game flow here. Not allowing them to set up, though we have seen certain moments it sort of creak through with sort of blind passes from one player to the other on the Cougars side, be able to connect those. But the Ghosts are just playing a defensive enough game that they're not giving the Cougars that opportunity to pull off those kind of plays.
Here's an opportunity, slid on by. Nathan rises up, overrise, denied. No, that was a goal. That was, oh no, that was going to go off the post. That's off of Seb Fan. What can you do? Not like this.
Yeah, unfortunate first goal with Cougars over the Ghosts there, and Sedfan just capturing the ball at the corner of the post on the bounce out, and instead driving it back into his own net. Just an unfortunate play as Ethan off the roof there tries to pot it in again, and the Ghosts now are having to play a little bit on the back foot here after a little bit of a mistake in their end. The Cougars seem to be boosted and are pushing a bit heavier here.
They got confidence now after that first goal, and the Ghosts have been unable to find a clear since the kickoff. They've had their backs up against the wall. Now, one thing I have noticed, it felt like at times Cougars were pushed up maybe even a little too far. So if they could capitalize in a quick transition play, they'd have an opportunity. The only thing is, well, the Cougars have been doing a great job of managing the resources, really managing the boost. Every time it seems like there's multiple orange players on the screen that are sitting there with not very full circles. So the Cougars doing a great job of keeping up the pressure here for now.
Yeah, exactly. And another great shot there from Nathan, picking a top corner there. But this is exactly that first goal is exactly what I was talking about, Q, where the Cougars need to come out of this, shake off that overtime loss. They let in shots last game, as you said, but that all the reason they lost that last game was just a bounce didn't go their way. And in this game, the bounces are going their way.
So far, that is the case, and there's a bounce off of a car that leaves a centering pass. And the Cougars have now been able to find 3 unanswered goals here in game number 2. The Ghosts at this point just would like to find themselves 1 before the end of the game.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, those are the bounces. That's the way the game goes sometimes. And in this one, the Cougars are able to capitalize that even in a defense-heavy game where they're able to just pick up on either a miscue or a play off of the defensive to score. And there's their fourth, picking it up. And all it is it's just capitalizing on these bounces. And the Cougars seem to have found their form here and are giving the Ghosts everything that they have.
I can't tell if it's the Cougars finding their form, the Ghosts feeling the pressure and needing to up the pace a little bit, being down by 3, now 4, or maybe a combination of the two. I think importantly here for the Ghosts, you have to realize you won game number 1. A loss like this isn't necessarily the end of the world. The series will essentially turn into a best of 3 after the next 15 seconds. Run off the clock. Open field on the other side. Maybe. No, Ethan's great on the rotation. Keeps the pressure alive and will send that ball again almost all the way to the goal line.
Yeah. The Ghosts here needed to try and pick up something if they can, even in extra time here. But the Cougars are doing just a great job of controlling the ball. And the Cougars ground the ball there to end the game, taking game 2 4-0 over the Ghosts, tying up the series.
Well, I think the big thing here is you come in and you steal at least one of the first two before you head off onto your other servers. Maybe you feel, again, I never want to talk too much as far as East Coast, West Coast, but I'm sure sometimes you feel that slight little bit of difference. So for the Cougars, you at least got one of those games back because that was on West. We're off to US East, though, where that is the Ghost Home servers, and they have the ability to potentially end things before we go. Oh, actually, I guess we're gonna be doing our last 3 on East now, looking where game number 5 is. So never mind me. We're off to East. They've kind of given themselves that advantage.
Yeah, well, they've given themselves a bit of that advantage there going in. What the Ghosts really need to do here in the next game is pick up that early kickoff or that early first couple seconds goal here. Right now, with the way the Cougars were playing towards the end of that game, like you said, whether it's the Cougars finding their game, the Ghosts misplaying things a little bit, having to play up for that pressure. Right now, the momentum's on the Cougars' side. The Ghosts have to do what they can to level that out and start trying to tip that momentum back down towards the Cougars' end of the goal.
I have to see how things start off in game number 3 here, because I mean, game 1 was close. That was where the Ghosts came away with the dub. Cougars came out in game number 2, and they really went on the prowl. They were able to really kind of up the pace and control things. I'm worried that if it happens to be another sort of, I don't want to call it a shootout because 3-0 is not necessarily quite a shootout, but if it turns into where the offenses are more predominant than the defenses, I do have concerns, some worries, so to speak, as far as for Ghost.
Yeah, exactly. Not even just on the shot counter. I'm not exactly sure what the shots were in that last game, but I'm pretty sure it's going to heavily favor the Cougars on that front. But yeah, even if we're just looking in the difference in goals that have been potted here, the Ghosts only won that game 1 by 1 goal. Even in that case with a level series, they're down in terms of goal production. They're gonna have to find a way, like I said, to stop that Cougars downhill momentum, turn the tables back the other way, and try to get that early goal.
How early do you think that goal needs to come across? Do you think it's a concern if the goal doesn't come across, if there's, as long as you've held the line the other side, or no?
I think as long as they've held the pressure for within the first minute, if they don't get that first goal right away, but they've held the pressure, they've maintained control of the ball, they've maintained field control. At that point, I wouldn't be too concerned on their end. But like I said, that goal differential right now is something that we haven't seen that offensive flair from the Ghosts. We know they're a great defensive team. We know they can lock things down. We know they can carry things into an overtime and hold their game there. But can they compete if this becomes an all-out shootout situation?
I think this game becomes important here as far as for the Ghost because you have been able to take one, but if game number 3 all of a sudden gets to a point where you are what's the best way of putting it here? If you end up having another as game where it's not close, if it's a close like 1-0 game and you lose, you're not too concerned if you're Ghost, right? That one you've been able to close the gap a little bit. But otherwise, I guess what's the best way of putting it? You got to make sure that you're able to keep the gap relatively close. I feel like it's the most important.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they need to keep this next game close. They can't let things get away from them. And what I would like to see from the Ghosts, well, I was praising it a little bit there after the first game, playing that little bit more of a timid game. And instead of capitalizing on opportunities where you could pick up the ball in a 50-50 situation in the opponent's zone right in front of their net, they were falling back. I'd like to see less of that timid defensive play and a bit more aggression from the Ghosts.
I definitely would like to see more aggression. I always just worry about reaching towards like the aggression like standpoint, just because in a game like this where the slightest bit of mistakes can really be the difference of a win and a loss, the Cougars team have shown the ability to really flip your field very quickly. If you overextend and get a little too aggressive, you can get punished relatively quickly here. Let me do one thing. Let's see if we can get everybody out of this lobby. I feel like we're having issues as far as getting our second team into this lobby here. and we'll reset things up. That way we can continue moving forward. I think, getting ready to go into game number 3 again, this is basically the point where a lot of the time series do start to turn just a little bit. And I think important for Ghost, game number 2 didn't quite turn out your way. I think the big thing is you just have to kind of put that one behind you. And I think the big thing is focus on where that ball is going versus where it is, because the Cougars seem to like to open things up as far as with those passing plays.
Yeah, exactly. We've seen multiple passing plays on the Cougars side where they're committing all 3 players into the offensive push. And for the Ghosts, capitalizing on that, being able to turn and push that ball into that open field on the Cougar side is going to be key if they're going to try and build any offensive push here. We keep going back around the point. Right now, it is literally sword versus shield in the battle we're seeing. Shield pulled off that game 1 overtime victory, but the offensive push on the sword on the Cougars end drove home and showcased their offensive ability and their ability to score there. Yeah, while we wait to get the match set up for this next round and that server up and running, yeah, here's my question for you, Q. If you were playing for the Ghosts or you were coaching the Ghosts here, what would you be telling them here in this down period? Well, there's a little bit of technical problems. You've got that little bit of extra downtime. You got more than that 60 seconds. What are you telling your team here to be able to push for that win?
I think the big thing is you have to start with the basics. We saw a couple of times where double commits opened things up, but also to the point where, again, I don't think it's focusing on where the ball is going. We've seen where they are opening things up with those passing plays. You can't be stagnant and playing reactionary. You have to be playing actionary, especially on the defensive side, which I know can sometimes be a little tough. But you know what? While we try and figure out our lobby issues in the background, let's go ahead and send things off to a quick break, and we'll be back with game number 3 right after this.
What I would say to somebody that hasn't heard about Extra Life is that it is one of the most fun ways to raise money.
Basically what it is, it's a fundraiser for the Children's Miracle Network hospitals. You sign up, you get a little donor page, and you ask your friends and family and teachers and coworkers for a tax-deductible donation while you play video games.
Even people that I know that don't play video games are enjoying it just because they're helping kids. And I mean, that's the reason enough, at least for me.
Totally do it, because it doesn't matter if you raise $1, that dollar itself can change somebody's life.
It's not just doing board games or playing card games, it's just playing, it's having fun, and that's the heart of Extra Life. And whether you stream it or you just say you're gonna do it with a group of friends or coworkers, it is absolutely the most fun you will have raising money and bringing awareness to a great cause.
All right, let's get on ready to get down to it. We do apologize for the little bit of a break, but we do now have everybody on in. It's game number 3. One of these two teams puts themselves on a series point.
Yeah, exactly. And great kickoff lead there by Sedfan, pushing the ball deep into the Cougar zone. And that's exactly the offensive push we needed to see from them early there, as they're unable to capitalize on it. And luckily the overcommit doesn't come to bite them. As the Cougars were putting that pressure back on, but exactly that offensive attack right off the kickoff was exactly what we needed to see from the Ghosts if they're going to have any hope of pushing back against this Cougars offense.
Yeah, I feel like the big thing, though, is you have to maintain the possession down there on that blue half of the field, because we know that the Cougars like to strike fast and in a hurry. If you can at least keep the ball out of their hands, that's a good starting point. Jonathan not going to be able to find that one, but Ethan will be up in the sky, at least keeps it forward. Nathan's rotated back, pops it up over Zebfan, and now it's numbers the other way. Rise in a tough spot, finds the first save. Jonathan also denied by Rise as well.
Oh, wonderful saves by Rise there, battling against those 2 shots from the Cougars. But once again, the Cougars are keeping that ball in the Ghost zone, and the Ghosts are being forced to play defensive again. The Ghosts getting the ball out here, but once again, they're only committing a single player onto that offense, with the other two players holding back, playing a little bit timid. It's a little bit concerning, but the Ghosts really need to commit offensively here, whether they have ball possession or not in the opponent's zone, to try and use those numbers to give themselves a shot.
Yeah, I mean, we're 2 minutes, or not 2 minutes, and we're a minute and a half, and we're still looking for our first one here as far as for the Ghost. Meanwhile, for the Cougars, they've had 4 attempts at it. Granted, none of them have found the lace, but you're at least starting to put those numbers in your favor, at least if you're a statistics fan like myself. So you have Fan now looking to try and enter into the offensive half. One touch, was looking for a potential pass off the backboard, couldn't quite find its mark. Hannock's mispinches, and well, now all of a sudden that gives the Cougars the possession. Pass the middle, Ethan fires shot. That's going to hit the post, and now it's the Cougars looking to try and gather it for another attempt.
Yeah, and the Cougars here gathering it in, but Jonathan picking that up just over the middle and forcing the ball back into the Ghost zone. We're starting to see the Ghost resources deplete a little bit here as the Cougars are starting to pick up their boost on their side of the field. Rise trying to carry it off, but Jonathan with a good center. Nathan coming up and tipping the ball just wide into the corner. Right for Jonathan to try and pick up. Ethan's coming back in, shooting the ball off, not able to get it centered and get a good pass off. Nathan picking up that ball, aerial dribbling in it, and Nathan carries it into that net to pick up that first goal just over the halfway mark of this match.
It starts with Ethan finding the demo, because then that does put Seb, and I believe it was Rise as the other defender, that needed to try and make up a whole bunch of ground to try and find a spot in the net. Both of them almost getting there, but neither of them able to find a touch. So the Cougars do have that lead with about 2:12 left to play. The Cougars now looking to maybe potentially add to their total. Ethan looks for a shot, denied. Nathan will follow it up with a second opportunity. That one also gets sent aside. Zedfan trying to find the relief valve. Out of the orange half, will be denied the first time around. Hannock tries to go coast to coast with it. Gets shut down by Nathan, but this is an opportunity for the Ghosts to try and set up shop down here on this blue side and try and get a little bit of offense going.
Yeah, exactly. The Ghosts here have a bit more boost to be able to use, a bit more boost economy, whereas the Cougars are suffering a little bit in that regard. But the Cougars, Jonathan with a solo carry, picks it up, carries it out of their zone, giving his teammates a chance to try and pick up that boost differential. And once again, the Cougars drive that ball, once again, we've seen this before, right back down into the Ghost zone, keeping that offensive push going. And Ethan with a long shot just beats the Ghost defender to give them a 2-0 lead.
Hannock's almost is able to find a touch and instead puts Sed in kind of a tough spot. No gas in the tank. You try and guess where you can. They were able to put themselves in almost the right spot, but instead it's now the Cougars with a 2-goal league. Said Fan gonna be able to pop this thing up. Second opportunity, that's gonna be just a tad bit high. Rise should be able to keep the pressure down here on this side, but both of them and Hannock's had both committed to that. Neither of them really able to get enough of it to be able to get the possession, so now it's the Cougars who get a crack at it. That first shot gets denied, but you'll see they're doing a great job on the defensive rotations, playing downhill, keeping that ball in front of them, which allows them to keep the pressure on the orange half.
Yeah, no, the Cougars are doing a great job at keeping that pressure on the Ghost. Forcing it down, a great shot by Rise, carrying it in just on top of the crossbar, not able to put that home. Cleared out, and Ethan looking to clear it right back over center, but the Ghosts are right there with full boost if they could keep possession. Instead, they pass it off to Jonathan on the roof, and the Cougars are coming back down, an unfortunate miss by Hannock's to try and pick up that ball to clear, giving Jonathan a clear open momentum benefit and boost here. Jonathan pick up the ball back up their zone. Rise going on the attack. Rise out of boost, unfortunately, and has to bounce the ball back to mid to Hannock's. But that's exactly the point where I was talking about during the break, where I really want to see the Ghosts put more than a single player and attacker in. And it seems more often than not, they're sitting back, not committing that second attacker, and the Cougars are able to capitalize, taking that game 3 to 0.
Well, we were wondering, was it going to be more of a shootout, more of a defensive standstill? Ironically, somewhere kind of in between. I mean, the Cougars found 8 shots, sure, 2 of which found the lace, but only 3 required saves other than that. So the Ghosts did a good job of at least being able to limit the opportunities from the Cougars. Unfortunately from them, though, not able to put any goals into the back of the net, only giving themselves 3 chances at it. The Ghosts have to find something to get their offense going because that's now been a while since we've seen them find a goal.
Yeah, the last time we saw the Ghosts actually score was that overtime goal in game 1. They're 2 games now where they haven't managed to score a goal at all. And for the Ghosts, that's got to be a point you have to focus on. You have to pick up a bit of offense here. It's not a situation where we've seen before in the tournament where one team is up and another team picks up that 1 goal. But we're back again for game 4.
Well, time to see if the Ghosts can send us off to a second game 5 of the evening, and would be almost rather fitting, seeing as it took 5 to find the other grand finalist. And it's going to be Rise who strikes first off of a great pass from Hanix.
There we go.
That's huge.
That's exactly what I wanted to see from the Ghosts. Like I was talking about, they have to capitalize early. They have to push early. They have to get that first goal in. That is exactly the start the Ghosts needed to this game.
Well, let's see if they can compound down that pressure. A second goal would be huge. It's a centering pass, but nobody home. Ethan fends it to the side wall, but then after that, unable to find the clear. Actually, defense might have pressed too far forward. If Rise can find a touch, we'll at least send it over towards, well, they thought maybe Seb Van would have been able to gather it. Ends up not being the case. That ball still ends up going back into this blue zone. Seb Van up in the sky has to worry about Nathan rising up for the 50, who finds the save, and now trying to flip the field. Rise denies, but Ethan sends it right on back. Up in the sky, will be shut down by Seb Van.
Jonathan keeping the ball right back into the Ghost zone here. The Cougars are doing an amazing job, and they pick up on it right there. That relentless pressure we've seen from them as they even up this game and force the Ghosts once again into that situation in a do-or-die game where they need more offense. They've got that 1 goal right off the hop. We now need to see if they can get themselves a second one and fend off the Cougars' attack.
Well, let's get down to it. See who will be the next team to give themselves the lead. Ghosts had themselves the first one, but since then it's felt like the Cougars have been a little bit more on the prowl when it comes to offense. Jonathan puts it on over. Nathan gets a touch as well to center it a little bit more towards the net, however loses the handle on the ball, which kind of puts you back in this awkward situation where you don't want to press too far forward. You take out a goalie though, and maybe that gives you the green light. Big 51, however, sends it deep into this Cougars territory. Now it's the Ghost trying to close the gap, playing upfield. Seb Van, 1 touch, but just no gas in the tank to make a play with it.
Yeah, exactly. The Ghosts are trying to push here, but the Cougars, as we've seen multiple times, are just constantly keeping up that great cycling play and keeping that pressure in and forcing the Ghosts to have to fall back, waste that boost on defense instead of keeping it for an offensive push.
He's going to be able to find the save on that opportunity from Jonathan. Entering into our 3rd minute of play, it's Ethan trying to find a kind of space towards the net. Will be shut down by who else but Rise, who does seem to have a pretty good handle when it comes to the defensive side of things, as well as the offense. Jonathan redirect towards the net. Nobody going to be able to follow it up. Actually, Rise already has themselves a savior medal, and we're not even but a halfway through. You got to find a way out of the zone here for the Ghost, though, because the Cougars have all sorts of pressure.
Yeah, the Cougars are just absolutely driving the pressure home. And one thing that I noticed from the Ghosts there was that triple commit on the defense. While they have to play defensive to keep more Cougar goals out of their net, a triple commit on that, you're just wasting all 3 of your players' boost economy. You're keeping all of your players off pace. There's no one to be able to pick up that ball that you've just saved and cleared out. And it's just allowing the Cougars to come right back into the zone.
Speaking of going right back into the zone, here's the Cougars. One more look at it. Oh, a swing and a miss by both the defender and the offender. No one able to get a touch onto it. Ethan will at least keep it down inside this Ghost territory. We're down to our final 100 seconds of play for Ghosts. You're the ones with the pressure. You've got to find some way, somehow to force it off to a game number 5, but it starts with a clear.
Yeah, it starts with the clear, and the Ghosts just can't get that clear out of their
Oh!
zone. And a beautiful double touch off the backboard by Ethan to put home the second goal, and a great pass by Nathan to set it up.
Wow, what a play. That's on your head, boy. The Cougars going to be up by 1 with 1:23 left to play. Now it's going to be the Ghosts who have to start moving with a sense of urgency. Otherwise, their run here at the Esports Canada EDU Scholastic National will come to an end here. It's more pressure forward. Rise sends it over. Hannock's not going to be able to find the touch onto that one. Be Seb fan, though.
Unfortunate. Yeah, unfortunate from Hannock's not be able to catch that ball and keep it into the Cougar zone.
Now you do at least have an opportunity to get a clear, but they're pinned back. They have no resources. The Cougars doing a great job of boost-starving them here.
Yeah, boost-starving them here. The Cougars pick up the ball. Nathan off the end trying to center it. Great clear there by Hannock's to try and get it out, but the Cougars keep it in. Steadfan having to burn almost all of their boost to just try and clear out the ball. But the Cougars getting pinned a little bit back in their zone here. Wonder if the Ghosts can actually capitalize on that, take advantage. But as I say that, Ethan comes down the pitch, the solo carry, coast to coast, and puts the ball in just gently into that corner.
Also, can we give a big shout out to, I think it was Ethan and the Hannock's, who were locked into that Rule 1 and respect shown on either side, that no one is going to break it. It's 20 seconds left. You need a goal every 10 seconds if you're the Ghost. You had an opportunity there. That gets denied. Nathan up in the sky looking for a double tap. Does get sent aside by Sebfan. Needs one goal right here, right now. Hannock's thought they had it, but Jonathan with the save.
What a save by Jonathan. I thought the Ghosts were going to be able to pick one up there, but Jonathan just tips it wide, gets the clear back down the pitch, and the Cougars are your winners of this semifinal.
That sets the stage for our grand finals because it was the Marauders, the reigning defending champions, who were already in the grand final, waiting to see who they're going to be playing up against. Gotta give a big shout out to the Ghosts. They definitely pushed the Cougars to the limits. Maybe not giving them a 5-game series, but each and every game of the 4 felt like they were pretty darn close. So
yeah, the Ghosts were pretty darn close there, but unfortunately they end up going home with the gentleman's sweep. Yeah, but no, I am absolutely hyped. I might have played into a little bit off the hop there, going for the twin telepathy or the triplet telepathy piece. Hoping they'd make their way through, but that is the final that we have ourselves set up for here, Q. We have the McTavish Marauders and the CCS Cougars.
Which should be a banger, and we had been doing best of 5s up until this point, but how about this? Since we're on a grand finals, how about we do a best of 7? So before we do that, how about we go ahead and grab ourselves a quick drink, grab yourself a quick snack, and then on the other side, we got to crown ourselves a champion. You had mentioned it is going to be the Marauders or the Cougars, best of 7 grand finals, right after the other side of this break.
What I would say to somebody that hasn't heard about Extra Life is that it is one of the most fun ways to raise money.
Basically what it is, it's a fundraiser for the Children's Miracle Network hospitals. You sign up, you get a little donor page, and you ask your friends and family and teachers and coworkers for a tax-deductible donation while you play video games.
Even people that I know that don't play video games are enjoying it just because they're helping kids. And I mean, that's the reason enough, at least for me.
Totally do it, because it doesn't matter if you raise $1, that dollar itself can change somebody's life.
It's not just doing board games or playing card games, it's just playing, it's having fun, and that's the heart of Extra Life. And whether you stream it or you just say you're going to do it with a group of friends or coworkers, it is absolutely the most fun you will have raising money and bringing awareness to a great cause.
My name is Sarah Orlina Stephenson, and I teach grade 5, 6 in PC Conan. I think esports can play a good in math. They can keep track of score, tallying, make a graph. It gives the students time to get to know each other, and they have different skills that they'll be comparing and then brainstorming with ideas. I actually love Super Mario, so I enjoy it, and I think it's a great bonding, and it shows how each student thinks. Not everyone thinks alike, so it shows different ways, different views of getting stuff done.
Why Extra Life? Extra Life to make a difference. Through Extra Life, we're able to bring in thousands upon thousands of dollars for our hospital foundation. When we raise money for the kids, like our champion kid Nico, we're able to make a difference in their lives by being able to have a facility where they're able to get the treatment they need in our own province.
You sign up online, you pick the hospital you're going to support, raise money for family, friends, neighbors, coworkers, etc., and then play games.
You can go to extra-life.org for all the information you need to sign up and start doing Extra Life yourself.
It's just fun to do it. You can build such a community with friends, like some of my lifelong friends I've met through Scholastic and stuff like that. Whether you do a big production or a small little game night at your house, there's so many options and so many ways to do it that it's accessible to everyone.
It's a great community. Everyone's in it for the same reason. They're all playing in support of kids' health or playing games for kids that may not be able to.
Doesn't matter if you fundraise $10, $100, or $1,000. Every dollar really does help.
You don't have to be the most hardcore of gamers to get involved. If playing games is something you enjoy doing and it's something that you're already doing, Extra Life is the way to take it, embrace that fun, and do something more than what you could do yourself. Be proactive, jump at it through Facebook, through extra-life.org. Reach out to your local hospital, they'll know more. Hop onto the Extra Life Discord, find local gamers. If your hospital doesn't have a guild, get out there, form one, and just keep going.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land. Our home to snow-covered mountains, sprawling farmlands, and iconic animals. Our land is vast, breathtaking, and cherished. Whether on the land, in the skies, or in the stars, we've made quite a name for ourselves. We pride ourselves on our kindness, our music, and we all remember where we were when Crosby scored. We embrace culture, diversity, and our Indigenous heritage. We are unapologetically Canadian. We are Canada.
NC welcomes you to our first Esports Expo in 2023. Today we gather here to celebrate esports to the immense potential.
J-Naps!
He plays another series.
Getting it done in Game 5.
This challenge takes it way beyond just building, random castles or whatever.
Right, it combines education,
Indulgent.
indigenous culture, all in this crazy fun challenge.
Okay, so get this. Picture this. The thrill of a Mario Kart race. But you're in the Canadian wilderness.
Specifically, the Pemichouanaki region of Manitoba.
Yeah, I was getting there.
Yeah.
And you're not racing karts, you're
Dog sledding.
dog sledding, which, by the way, is huge part of the history and culture in that region.
It is, absolutely. And that's where the educational piece really shines through. Students had to really dig into the history and traditions of the Blood Vein River First Nation.
Here we go, getting ready to get things on started. Time for the grand finals here. You can see on your screen just how we got here. On the left side of your screen, it was the reigning defending champions, McTavish, the Marauders, who earned their spot here after a banger Game 5 win over LCI Samurai Gold. On the other side, the Cougars might not have needed 5. They only needed 4 in their semifinal matchup. They did get pressed the distance quite a bit as well. We're now off to best of 7s. It's about a battle of attrition. It's all about who's going to be able to step up to the plate when it matters the most. Not only best team in Canada, but best team in Alberta, I guess.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see that 2 of the top 4 seeds that we had coming into today, into that playoff bracket, made it to the end, and both of them are from Alberta. Once again, everyone's heard about the legendary battles of Alberta within the hockey space in the NHL, and now we're getting to see the esports equivalent in Rocket League of the Battle of Alberta.
You wonder who here is going to be able to come out on top. Think it more interesting here as far as in game number 1. In the past, we've kind of talked about somewhat important. I really feel like in games and in best of 7, not so much of the same deal, right? Like I feel like in game number 7, in a best of 7, game number 1, completely a feeler out sort of situation. It's not just the first 60 to 90 seconds. So, let's go out and see which one of these 2 teams wins game number 1. But if you are the squad that's here cheering on your team, I wouldn't put too much weight on it. 5 minutes on the clock. Let's get down to it.
Yeah, great kickoff by the Cougars to pick up initial control of the ball there. As we know, the Marauders are quite good at ball control. And we saw it right there as the Marauders in the first 11 seconds pick up the first goal of the game, with Nate dropping the ball right off the roof in a pass to miss down low. The Cougars are seeing that championship pedigree from the Marauders early.
Well, if there is any question about the time off maybe causing a little bit of a cool down over on that Marauder side of the pitch, well, we have an answer. Doesn't seem like it. Now the question becomes for the Cougars, how quickly can you find yourself a response? Jonathan in a 1v1 with Macro. Macro wins the low 50, adds a second on the total for the Marauders as they go up by 2.
Yeah, great last second deke there by Macro to put the ball just around Jonathan to get that second goal. And we haven't even hit the 30-second mark here into the game, and already the Marauders are up 2-0. Oh, I thought it was going to be a kickoff goal there from the Cougars, just going wide. Cougars giving a little bit of pressure in the zone, but missed carrying it up with that aerial, dropping it right in front of the net. It was cleared by the Cougars back out.
Oh, we're not even a minute gone into game number 1 yet. So if you are the Cougars, You still got time to cook, but you don't want to allow a third for the Marauders. Otherwise, that's just more momentum for this team that we've already seen earlier today on stream. We know they give them a little bit. They'll take as much out of it as they can. They'll squeeze every last drop out of every opportunity. Big clear. Back down onto the orange side. Swing and a miss. Actually, this is the ball right in front of the net. Miss swings. Nathan shuts it down. And now all of a sudden, it's the ball going the opposite way.
Yeah, and Macro intercepting the ball, heading that out of the way, carrying it up off the ceiling. Tries to drop it right in front of the net, but it just gets tapped wide by the Cougars. The Cougars try to push it back in. A bit of a bumble tap by the Marauders, giving the Cougars a chance. Ball's right up in front of the net. No one there to pick it up for the Cougars. Missed carrying it down. And what a save by the Cougars with that pinch right against the goalpost to drive that ball out and go right back onto the counterattack into the zone with Jonathan picking up the ball, dribble, and countered by Mist.
Well, Nathan might have been able to ring the bell with the save, but you mentioned the counterattack opportunity did get denied. Jonathan's shot also sent aside, and it makes its way past the midfield line. Nate gonna be able to win the beat on that side while wins the race to it. That's gonna at least bury it deep inside this Cougars half of the field. Nathan will be able to exit, but only just past midfield. Miss sends a shot on in. Gets that second touch as well. It requires a save from Jonathan. Clear comes across. It's gonna be Miss in an awkward position in the corner. Misses that one, but luckily Nate can send it aside.
Yeah, Nate sends it aside there. Ethan trying to pick it up off the ceiling, but the Marauders clear it out. Bit of a mistouch there and a miss as the Marauders pick up that aerial ball. Centering, and Macro flying in off the wall with a tip to drop the ball in, giving the Marauders a 3-0 lead with 2:17 left to go. If you're the Cougars, you gotta figure out how to level set yourselves here, as the Marauders are giving them absolutely everything they can handle right now.
And they definitely turned things up to a 10 here for the grand finals, and they're really setting the tone here in game number 1. It's been 7 shots found in the first 3 minutes, almost half of which, 3 of them, have found the lace. And now it's Macro once again sending this ball into that Cougars territory. Almost finds the angle. Jonathan trying to back that thing up. Will be able to find a touch to at least relieve a little bit of pressure. It's a clear down towards the other side. Ethan looks to try and settle it towards the middle. Nathan not high enough, and it's another visit for the Cougars into that blue half that's very short-lived.
Yeah, the Cougars are able to get clear down the ball quickly, but they're just not getting any zone time, as we've seen it time and time again from the Marauders, just that mid-zone pressure. And they're just sitting there, shutting down anything you have to give them, and then immediately driving it back in with the spare player and driving the ball down as Macro drives it in, tries to center, and that's cleared out by Ethan. Ethan looking to carry it down the field, tries to go for the pass, misses just wide, and the ball pinches off the wall back into the Cougar zone. 1 minute remaining here. Nathan trying to carry it in a solo effort. The Marauders poking it out. Missed with a shot on net in the center. And with 45-ish seconds left to go, Macro taking it in.
I thought Nate was going to be able to follow things up because they did have a relatively open net. Not able to punish that one, but with a 3-goal lead, you're nearly not going to be worried about it too much. You do kind of get the ability to coast across the goal or cross against the finish line here in game number 1. However, I'm sure they have their eyes set on completing the clean sheet. 20 seconds left. Nathan would like to at least get one on the board here for the Cougars. Denied that time around. Nate with another touch will find their way into the orange half and falls with another pick of the pocket. Sends it in front of the net as an awkward spot, especially with Macro trying to chase it down. I think at this point with the back pass, simply playing keep away. Once the ball touches the ground, the Marauders take game 1.
Yeah, that was the absolute dominant play we've seen from the Marauders so far. Turns out that, at least for game 1, that championship pedigree and skill can overcome that telepathic communication and that familiarity that the Cougars are going to have with themselves and the confidence they're bringing from that semifinal.
Well, the Cougars would have needed to shoot 100% in game number 1 if they wanted to just simply tie things up. They only had 3 shots, none of which found the lace. Meanwhile, for the Marauders, not quite up to double digits. They did get 9 and have a pretty darn good shooting efficiency. I mean, a third of which finds the back of the net. So let's go off to game number 2. I had mentioned game number 1 not as important, but don't get tricked into thinking that if you're the Cougars that you can just come in here with the same game plan in game number 1, because if you lose this one, the Marauders all of a sudden find themselves halfway there, living on more than a prayer. They've got pressure here early forward as well, looking to try and find an early goal.
Yeah, trying to find an early goal, dropping that shot off the roof, and it almost lazily bounces into the net with no one there to pick it up. And this time it will get into the net as Macro wins that 50-50 clear attempt inside of the Cougars zone and just taps that into the open net with the Cougars hunting down the boost.
Look, I'm not normally a guy that likes to say I told you so, but I did mention they were trying to find themselves an early lead, and well, it didn't take them long, did it? 18 seconds, maybe a quick response, but Ethan not going to be able to find that follow-up touch down deep inside that blue territory, so it's going to be up to Nate to try and flip the field, pinches it down towards at least the orange half. You saw Macro prioritizing the boost, just wanting to limit the resources that are available to the Cougars on that counter-attack. That way they can slow it down, switch the pressure, and now it's them back on the attack.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the sort of the modus operandi we've seen from the Marauders in the last couple games we've watched from them. It is just that efficient counterattack, that efficient structure to pick up all the boost your opponent has once you get that initial zone pressure, and just slowly but surely chip away, drive it down, and with that, they pick up their second goal with about 4 minutes to go here. And the Cougars are once again on the back foot.
I think one thing that's also kind of scary to think about for this Marauders squad, and I'm sure we'll touch on it more, especially if they figure out a way to walk away as champs here. But let's actually hold a second. Nathan finds a way to successfully take this lead and cuts it in half. It's a beautiful play by Jonathan. Pays the price for raising up to be able to find the pass, but hey, you know what? It works. The Cougars find their first goal.
Yeah, great play by Jonathan there to sacrifice the body to be able to pass the ball back and be able to get it onto his teammates' cars to be able to take that shot. Just a wide shot there by the Marauders on the Cougars' net. And yeah, we need to see more of that from the Cougars and pressing there and getting that out of their zone. But once again, we're seeing that relentless momentum coming in from the Marauders. And while the Cougars had a great showing coming into this, it feels like the reigning champs are putting on the pressure and showing why they are the reigning champs.
Oh, y'all thought y'all were to make this close? That's cute. Go ahead and watch me add another one to my tally, re-extending my lead up to 3, says the Marauders. However, it's a pass to the middle. Jonathan almost makes them pay. It's always such a dangerous risk to try and find a way out of your defensive half towards the middle of the field. Jonathan will find a pass up to Nathan, who I thought was going to be able to settle it before the ball settled into that front left-hand corner. Instead, ball will find its way back towards the midfield line, and the tug of war continues.
Yeah, just that back and forth in the middle here. The Cougars need to figure out a way to break that defensive structure, as they do right there. And they caught the Marauders on a rare misplay and got a lucky bounce through the middle of both defenders to put that into the corner, bringing them one step closer. The Cougars aren't going away here with 3 minutes to play.
Yeah, I didn't see what had happened to lead to Macro being on the back wall, who at the start of that replay was just getting their wheels settled on that right side of the goal, but they were facing the wrong way. Your other defender has no gas in the tank. Just a series of unfortunate events, it did appear. But you know what? You do still have the lead if you are the Marauders. You've shown the ability to respond to the responses. Let's see if they can maybe do so on this possession. It's Nate looking towards the middle. Jonathan picks the pocket, but it's right back onto the hood of Miss. It's a pass to Macro. That sails way too high and wide.
Yeah, just a little bit too wide there and a bit of a miscommit by the Marauders as the Cougars storming back down with an overshot by Nate, I believe, into the goal on the other side of the pitch, leaving his team shorthanded, and the Cougars capitalize with that attack, and we're all tied up 3-3.
Threes apiece, the Cougars on the prowl, and in what is an important game number 2 in this best of 7. Jonathan has some field, will send a pass off of the back wall. It's in the middle of the pitch, but your third defender already went back, almost gets bumped out of the way. Nate screaming on in, will punch it home for the Marauders as they take the lead with 2:02 left to play.
Yeah, just great bump there by Mist to move the goalie out of the way, not giving Nathan enough time to recover, and just allowing his teammate the time there to pot home their 4th and take the lead again.
You know what's funny though is I think if Mist doesn't find that bump, the ball still finds its way across the goal line because both him and the player that they were bumping were both kind of heading backwards. It almost acted as a save. Goal ends up going across anyway, so you're not worried about it. But that is one of those where if you don't punch it across there, it's kind of feels bad. So you're glad to see that it worked out for him. Ethan with a heck of a shot off the pass from Nathan, and we're all tied up at 4.
Yeah, that Cougars offense and those passes that we've seen from them before are starting to come back into play and giving the Marauders a bit of something they have to compete with that they haven't seen since that one game. And the Marauders tip off the corner of the net, and Nate follows up. The champs just showing why they are the champs and immediately answering back with a goal.
That's got to be frustrating too, as the Cougars. Every time it looks like you're about to settle things back up, maybe find a way to put yourself into the driver's seat, the Marauders just say, not today. It's 5-4 here now with 90 seconds right about left onto the clock. Nate with the kablamo. It's going to be Macro looking for the double tap off of that one. Missed, denied by Ethan. It will be Nathan looking to flip the field. Shot gets sent way too far wide. Jonathan with a touchdown acts as a pass to the middle. Nathan is there, but it's Macro who gets the bead.
Yeah, Macro getting that clear out there. It was a great play to sacrifice the body to make that play again. But unfortunately, the Cougars just can't capitalize. Miscarrying the ball downfield, passing it off to a shot, looking for the double touch. Nate off the top, unable, can't put it home. Macro with another shot, and Nathan with an additional save, pushing it down in the pass wide. Great save by the Marauders and missed to keep their 1-goal lead with 40 seconds left to go. The Cougars not willing to go away here silently into the night with this game. They are keeping the pressure on and the momentum high here.
I like to see the fight, but it's only 30 seconds left. Otherwise, the Marauders are halfway there. That shot will be denied. Nathan will look for a pass to the middle. Macro's there. Ethan will be able to find yet another save, but now it's time of the essence. You gotta flip the pitch, flip the script, and try and find a way to put it into the back of the net. It's gonna be a pass back towards the middle. Macro finds a way to send it deep inside the Cougars territory. Was trying to pop that back up for their teammate. A little bit of a mistouch here. One last second play. Unfortunately for them, Mist stops the progress over towards the blue side, and the Marauders take game 2.
Yeah, the Marauders take game 2, but at least in this one, the Cougars didn't find themselves getting shut out and at least gave some pushback here. If they are going to be able to take a game in this series from the Marauders, they're going to need more than just pushback. They're going to need perfection, as the Marauders just seem to capitalize on any and every mistake they can find.
Well, they were able to find the smallest of opportunities. What's kind of crazy to think about is how close this series was despite the shot discrepancy, because the Cougars only finding 8 shots. Meanwhile, on the other side of the field, 17. That's quite a bit of a difference. Yeah, you could sit here as the Cougars and say, hey, that means we had efficiency. We were able to shut down quite a bit on the defensive side. I'm a law of averages kind of guy. You cannot give this Marauders that many chances at your net and think you're walking away with the dub.
Yeah, exactly. And so as we head here 5 minutes back on the clock into game 3 in this series, the Cougars are going to have to, like I said, be almost dang near perfect to be able to force the Marauders to lose a game in this series and give themselves a shot.
Gotta definitely figure something out here in game number 3. I mean, I would like to say an early goal is a way to start, but honestly, with the pace that the Marauders have been able to find the lace, I'm not even sure if that's the case. I think the big thing is you just got to put together a perfect 5 minutes of Rocket League. It's easy for us to say that on the mic. It's a whole nother thing to do that out on the pitch. Maybe a potential opportunity here denied. Mist's going to be able to find a little bit of additional space off the back of that demo as well. It's over Nathan's head. Jonathan has to make a play as the third back and will gather it and send it towards the other side of the field.
Yeah, Jonathan trying to carry it down, went for an attempted pinch there to drive the ball out of his zone, just missed it slightly, but did get the pass down to a wide open net, and Nathan puts it home. I'm not too sure what happened to the Marauders there. Oh, it's a bit of a double commit over on the left-hand side, and the Marauders left their net wide open. The Cougars get in and capitalize the first goal of this game. 4 minutes to go.
Yeah, it's a tough spot to be in if you're missed, because you kind of need to step up and try and figure out like kind of how, like, you have to find a way to shut that thing down because you are the third back. Otherwise, there's like ample field. But if you miss it, well, we saw what happens. It's just way too much field, and it's easy to get knocked in. So the Cougars do have that first lead. Now the question becomes, can you give yourself a little bit of a security blanket? Would like to pass things towards the middle. However, the defensive rotation already comes across. That gives the Marauders space to rotate on in and try and take possession.
Yeah, and the Marauders immediately capitalize on that possession, driving in here. Jonathan making a good play to counterattack and force Marauders back into their zone and give the Cougars a bit of foot, but a bit of a misplay there by Nathan to drive the ball back into his own zone when they had that opportunity. Bit of a tip up here and a pass to himself, but Mist will intercept that, sending it right back down the field. Couple bounces in the corner, Ethan with a shot on net, and the Marauders save the shot on their opponent's net and save themselves from tying up the game. And the Cougars go right back onto the attack, pressuring into their zone.
It's all right, though. You still only need one if you're the Marauders, and you do still have a whole half to play. Jonathan denied by Macro. Follow-up opportunity by Nathan. Second shot follows off of the post. Macro with a nice 50. We'll send that off the sidewall. It's back in the middle. Missed the only one with gas in the tank, but not facing the right way to rise on up. So because of that, the Cougars still have possession. Ethan will fire a shot, getting denied before it can even come off of the hood. Now it's a counterattack opportunity. Miss. Bang! Bar down skis. We're tied up at 1.
Yeah, just a little bit of a misplay by the Cougars player up there. I believe that was Ethan that made a little bit of an overcommit with not enough boost in the tank to get himself up and intercept that ball. And Mist does not let the mistake go unpunished and puts the ball into the back of the net, tying the game.
Oh, tied up.
Macro carrying it in here, trying to capitalize themselves. The Cougars just trying to drive it out. Mist back up off the top of the pass to Nate, and the Marauders punish the Cougars once again with back-to-back goals in under a minute.
Oh man, kind of like that one great track from Drake, right? Going back to back, put themselves in the lead here with 2:02 left to play. The driver's seat for the Marauders has been a very familiar spot for them all day long. Macro with the ball in the corner and picks up the big pad as well, so they have some room to work with. Nathan does a great job of rising on in with the 50, unable to keep the control. However, Jonathan puts it off the side while Nate's already up, leaves it off for Miss. Little hesitation, flick over one, but Jonathan with the save.
Yeah, that's a great save by Jonathan to keep it out of the net here. And now the Cougars go back on the attack. A demo from Ethan on Macro, trying to keep it out, but Nate pushing that back in, as we've seen multiple times today, stealing that boost from the Cougars zone, and the Cougars come right back down the pitch. Jonathan carrying that effort, that pass back and forth between Ethan and Jonathan onto the wall and into the net for a 2-2 game.
Who's that reaching in the cookie jar? All of yous over on the blue side, pressed way too far forward. That one's a little too easy. It's going to be a mistake that does indeed get punished. The good news for the Marauders, though, is you do still have a share of the lead. 75 seconds left. Jonathan looks for it, has an opportunity, can't keep the handle. Now all of a sudden, maybe numbers the opposite way as Nate will look to gather it in front of his net. Pops it on up, is high in the sky, sends it towards the net, but it will be Ethan who finds the save. And with Jonathan in the corner, trying to find some way somehow to get the possession back towards the middle, it's the assistance. Yeah, sure, Nathan also finds some space with the demo, but no luck, no dice when it comes to the goal.
Yeah, no dice there, but the Cougars are pushing straight back into the Marauders zone, forcing them onto the back foot here. The Cougars are looking for that third goal to get themselves up here late, 40 seconds to go. The Cougars, I think, have found a little bit of a strategy in demoing the opponent, because that seems to be working in their favor to get the ball deep, hold it in there, and get an opportunity shot with Ethan just shooting wide off the post.
That is one that
opportunity.
That's one you have to be able to capitalize on against a team like the Marauders. They do not make very many mistakes, so when they give you an open net, you have to bury it. Instead, it's 5 seconds away. The Marauders have a chance for one last second play before we go off to overtime. Nate sends it forward. Jonathan looks to send it aside, but it's missed up in the sky. Looks for a pass to Macro, unable to keep the handle, and it's off to overtime we go.
Yeah, heading off to the first overtime here in the grand final. Marauders winning that 50-50 off the kickoff, going quickly for the goal. Macro with a solo carry, and what a save by Ethan to keep the game alive for the Cougars as the Marauders are burning everything they got here. And Nate with the carry, the aerial, the flick to put it home and secure game 3 of this best of 7, putting the Cougars in a must-win situation.
Talk about a highlight, going coast to coasty with it, hits him with the flick of the wrist as well, and you mentioned it, the Marauders are now up to series point. The Cougars are now in reverse sweep territory if they want to call themselves champs.
Yeah, exactly. The Cougars have a massive uphill battle now if they want to knock out the reigning champs. We've seen them in this. We've seen the reigning champs in this position before in their semifinal matchup, and when they are in that position, they don't lose. They come back with a vengeance. And unfortunately for the Cougars, they don't even have that opportunity, as they are the ones who are in a must-win pinch.
The Cougars had 12 shots that game. They actually outshot the Marauders 12-9, despite the fact that the Marauders obviously walk away with the necessary goal in overtime here. While we do get ready to potentially head into our last match as far as the U18 bracket, I wanted to give a big shout out to our U15 champs who will have already been decided on that other stream. It's Valley Gardens Middle School, the Bears, who are your U15 champions. Let's see if the Marauders can also call them champs here after game number 4.
Yeah, as we drop back in, 5 minutes back on the clock, and we are off. The Cougars giving up that kickoff, but managing to drive it back down into the zone. Jonathan looking for a play, but Macro there to deny. Ethan picking it up, Nate trying to pinch and get an easy early goal. Unable to capitalize. Macro tip off the backboard, pass to miss off the backboard again, and Ethan a shot for Nate at the post and in. The Marauders are here to play. They're here to stay, and they're up 1-0 early.
Got a lucky second touch off of that post, but you know what? Sometimes better to be lucky than good. You make your own luck when you're playing that aggressive towards the net as well. The Marauders put themselves into the driver's seat. You got goal number 1, and there's open field. However, the Cougars could try and find themselves a quick second. It's settled down in front of the net. Ethan bangs it home, and we're tied up at 1.
Wow, and the Cougars come back immediately, capitalizing on that over-aggression on the Marauders side. Great play up on the wall to think and not hard pass that ball, dropping it gently right onto their teammate's car, and they pick up that tie of the game, 1-1 each, 30 seconds in.
Now you wonder, that maybe be the jump start the Cougars need, a very quick response to say, hey, we're still here to play. We want to extend this series as well. Have to wait and see as we do get ready for things here. It's going to be Nate who sends it aside. That's not going to quite find its mark, but it's still over towards the front of the net. Trying to find a way out. It will be at least saved. It's pinched. It's going the other way. Is that just in? That's just in. Ethan punches it home, and the Cougars have the lead.
What great passing from the Cougars there. I think on that play alone, I counted 3 or 4 passes between the 3 players, just juggling the ball gently back and forth, carried it down, tapping it in the net, giving themselves that 1-goal lead. Ultra elusive against the Marauders here, but the Cougars need to reset here on the demo, and Nate picks up a quick return shot. The Champs showing that championship pedigree.
Now that one is going to hurt for the Cougars. Just when you thought you were starting to get the handle, an unfortunate series of events. It's a sniper rifle shot from the far side of the pitch. You're tied up at 2. Last thing you want is for the Marauders to find a quick third. They're trying here. Nate, bang, finds that one. It's 5 goals in the opening 75 seconds as the Marauders are up 3-2.
Yeah, the Marauders are absolutely refusing to disappear here. An amazing play by Mist, carrying it in and prepping up that shot for his teammate off the backboard. And once again, the Cougars, who did find themselves less than 30 seconds ago, up 2-1 in this game, now find themselves staring down a 3-2 deficit with the Marauders attacking once again.
Here's Mist, another opportunity, was looking for top Pinskis. I don't know if I should call that the top post or the side post. It literally hit the perfect corner without going in. It's going to be Nathan trying to find the clear. Mist steps in, picks the pockets off of the second touch. Get dunked on, big boy. The Marauders going to be up 4-2.
What a play by Mist to pick up the second touch off the defender nonetheless. To put that home. If there's a statement goal cue, that's a statement goal by the Champs, cementing their place in and almost picking up that kickoff goal again as well. The Marauders aren't giving the Cougars any space to breathe here.
No, I think if that kickoff goal goes in, it probably would have been wraps. Now it's Mist looking for the double touch, not going to find it there. Macro, however, will be able to slot it in off of the rebound. It's a 3-goal lead, and we're not even 2 minutes in.
Yeah, this is a huge change. About less than a minute, 20 seconds ago, less than 2 minutes into the game, and we've already the score's gone back and forth 3 different times. The Champs taking the lead, the Cougars pushing back, and then the Champs absolutely cementing their lead right now. And the Cougars are going to have to play perfect to battle back, as we've seen multiple times today with the Marauders. This Jonathan up off the wall, trying to go for the double touch and just missing. Oh, and dropping it down and missing a wide open net below him as well.
And it's one thing when you're down by 1, maybe even 2. You just continue the same game plan, but it's now 3, make it a 4-goal lead here for the Marauders. And now all of a sudden you got to start playing with a sense of urgency that you really haven't gotten used to playing in at all during the course of this tournament. Your back's up against the wall, and could we very well see our first mercy rule on stream in game number 4 to be able to crown a champion? It's looking like that could very well be the case.
It could be the possibility, and the Marauders aren't going away at all. They are pouring everything they have, playing at a pace I don't even think we've seen them play at today. Just relentlessly, shot after shot after shot, keeping the ball into the opponent's zone, driving attacks multiple times. Great pinch off the ceiling to try and set up Nate. Ball bounces a little bit high there. Nate carries it back into the corner and tries to set up for Mist. The Cougars and Nathan tip it just a little bit far. Jonathan misses, but luckily he has Ethan there to pick up the ball and cover for that mistake. Otherwise, the Marauders were going in, and that double touch right off and bouncing between the crossbar and the ground, and the Cougars just keep it out, but the Marauders are right back where they were, and Macro punishes the Cougars, putting them up 7-2, a minute 40 to go.
Might not be Brazil, but it still seems to be an unsurmountable lead here for the Marauders, up by 5 with 99 seconds left to play. And with the dominance that they've been able to establish here in game number 4 and the ability to just absolutely seize the control of this ball and keep it down that half, it does seem like it's going to be an impossible task to be able to flip the script. I mean, when we look at the field domination, it's already past 70%. It's so rare that that happens, let alone this late into a tournament. Is that 8? That's 8. Are we close to that mercy rule?
I think we're right up against that mercy rule right now, Q. This is an absolutely unreal performance by the Marauders to drive home why they are the current champs. They are giving the Cougars everything they can handle and more, and not relenting or backing off in the slightest. This is absolutely unreal play as the Cougars try to drive it deep, but just can't get past the Marauders defense as we got a minute left on the clock.
Well, they had an opportunity there, but then all of a sudden they had to go screaming back to the defensive side. 1, swing and a miss. 2, at least gathers the handle and puts it on the hood of Jonathan, looking to try and find a counterattack opportunity. It's slowly bouncing towards the net, but Macro will be easily able to save that one. Jonathan rises up and at least sends a ball towards the middle of the field. Macro will send it towards Nate on the sidewall. 30 seconds left. It's trying to see if they can find themselves a 9th here for the Marauders.
And the Marauders are battling back. Cougars pushing it into their zone. Missed right there. We've seen before to capitalize. Ethan manages to strip it off that car. Taking a shot on net, but right there we have Nate right there to defend. The Cougars trying to give a bit pressure here, but the Marauders just showing and showcasing that full-on control. Macro with a shot off the post, and Nate following it back up to give them a 7-goal lead. And I believe that there, 5 seconds left in the game, but I believe that there is the mercy that you're looking for, Q.
Yeah, that's everyone backing their way on out, and there it is, the mercy rule in game number 4 to be able to crown themselves the champions, the reigning, defending, back-to-back champions, the Marauders, able to pull it off.
Yeah, just absolutely unreal domination that we saw by the Marauders today across every single series and every single game they've played. Whether they faced a little bit of adversity there right off the hop, holding down the Canadians, the Samurai pushed them back to that game 5, but they locked it down and pushed it through. And even though the Cougars had a decent showing offensively, the Marauders just showed in that last game why they are the champs.
And I was going to talk about this point earlier, and then we got behind with some goals. So something I wanted to talk about here, after the Marauders able to be able to crown themselves back-to-back champions, keep in mind they've got 2 players who are in year 11 that will be back next year. They're only losing 1 player to graduation this year. There's a very good chance they could be looking for the 3P next year.
Yeah, exactly. And the Marauders are going to be, like you said, with only 1 player graduating, keeping 2 of those players that have been in there for those back-to-back championships at this point. They're setting themselves to establish a little bit of a dynasty, if you can call it that, within the Canadian Under-18 Esports Championship here. It's, it's very, very impressive, and the rest of the teams have to look out next year, because the Marauders aren't just going to go away into the night.
Well, they are the champs for now. I'm sure they will enjoy being able to celebrate after such a dominant performance today. Literally, our only mercy rule was in game number 4 to be able to crown themselves the champ. That is definitely quite the achievement here. Now, we had an awesome day here today. We appreciate y'all hanging out with us here for the Scholastic National 2025. Again, big shout outs as far as for the Marauders, as far as the U18 and the Bears for U15, our 2 champions here today. Big shout out to Lotus 8 and Extra Life for helping out as far as putting everything together. Big shout out to Manny as well. Gendar, it was an absolute blast being able to jump on the desk with you. But of course, we do have the easy job. We get to show up and get excited about pixels. We got to make sure we're giving a big shout out to our the man behind the curtains, doing all the hard work, Fantasia, pressing the buttons, making sure that everything goes smooth as well. So big shout outs all the way around. We do hope to catch y'all back for our next one. Make sure y'all are keeping an eye over on social medias, as well as over on, if you're in the Discord, jump up in there as well. You know what I mean? Make sure you're in there. And until we do get to catch y'all back for the next one, man, don't forget, with everything crazy going on in the world today, be true, be you, be sincere, game hard and love hard. All right, y'all? That's Gengar on cue for the rest of the crew from the front to the back. Y'all have a great rest of your week. Peace!